Good evening everyone, and welcome to round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup as we come to you live from the Nurburgring GP Circuit. So round 7 of the series, and we're just getting into qualifying now as we've got a full field of 15 cars for the Pro class as they get underway with 8 minutes of qualifying, and then this will be followed up by a pair of 6-lap races, with race 2 being a reverse grid of the previous race results, and then race 3 of course a longer 10-lap final to decide the round results for tonight's event. So while the Nurburgring has been open since 1925, the actual GP circuit was only completed in 1984, which is after the South Circuit, as it's known in probably the English language, was demolished and then replaced with this shortened version to host Grand Prix racing. And of course it was opened up with an exhibition event featuring a number of the Formula 1 stars of the time in what was called a Race of Champions exhibition race, and it was won by a Formula 1 rookie by the name of Ayrton Senna. So he held off Niki Lauda to win that race, which Lauda stormed from the back of the field. So coming around now, we've got first qualifying laps now underway as Bjorn Borg-Zundes comes into turn 1 on his first flying lap. He's followed closely by series leader Diswood 1, who's got about a 30-point margin on N-Spud P666, our defending Porsche Cup champion, as we're at the end of 6 rounds. This of course has taken into consideration one drop round of the series so far. So at the end of round 12, each driver will drop their 2 worst rounds from the series point standings, and then we'll have 3 more rounds after that to decide the series champion. So just look a bit further back, and I think that's V Papa AT in the CP Motorsports Porsche, who's just copped a half-second penalty for track limits. So that'll probably put an end to his lap for now. So we head back to Bjorn Borg-Zundes. He's coming up towards the end of the second sector here. Around the Warsteiner curve. And then this coming up to the sweeping back straight. Short right hand kink through turn 12. And then into the final chicane here. Some hard braking down to first gear, and then a short run to the final corner. You're looking to carry as much speed as possible here through this final turn and finish off the lap strong. Let's see what time he puts up first off. Looks like Diswood might be a bit quicker. He's done 1:54, and Diswood goes faster, 1:54.7, so just by a couple of tenths. This is Viperzed who takes pole position so far with 1:54.396. Let's see who else. N-Spud's in the 5th place. Let's see what Ham Wallet has up his sleeve. He only does a 2-minute lap, so just a little bit off the pace there. Dano coming across the line, he goes into P9. And of course Honourably Airborne is on his out lap at the moment, so he won't be setting a lap time just yet. So a bit further up the order, I think. Diswood's leading the way at the moment. on the track, and he's leading the way through the first sector as well, as he goes nearly 2 tenths faster on Viper Z's first sector time, so, well, actually second sector time I should say. Just realising that there's actually a couple sectors here, well, 1 or 2 extra sectors, and he's 0.3 up at the end of the third sector, so looking strong so far from this wood. He's got a few corners left. He'll be hoping to keep it clean here, and I'm sure that'll end up putting him on pole. Be interested to see if he survived that chicane without getting any track limits penalties, so he could be in the clear here. Let's see what time he puts up this time around. And it's just shy of pole position with a 154.5, so still on the front row, but not quite enough to knock Viper Z off the top position. Zenspud just puts in another time, goes position 5. Let's have a look at RoboSport, who's currently third in the series at the moment. He goes to P7. 155.7, so that's a good time from the RoboSport Racing team leader. Although, just as I said that, Ham Wallet jumps up to 6 and bumps Robbo down to 9th. The other Tyrone, who we saw at last year's Touring Car Series for a few races, he's rejoined the Track Stars series and is sitting in position 10 at the moment. Let's have a look at Honourably Airborne as he comes around to finish his first flying lap. Let's see where this will put him in the order. Looks like it's a second gear turn for Airborne around here. Takes a bit of a wide entry, hoping to sharpen up the exit of the final corner. Comes across the line and does a 156 flat, which will put him in 10th. So it's probably looking like this will be the second to last lap for this wood. I think a few drivers will manage to squeeze another lap in, but there'll be some others that will miss out, so. And Diswood goes to the top with a 154.1, so not quite enough to take into the 153s, but still good enough for the top of the time charts at this stage. Let's see if Viper Z has a response to this. As he comes around the final corner, heads towards the finish line. It's quicker, but still 2 tenths off of Diswood's time for pole position. Let's have a look. Let's see who's still doing a lap, I think. So Viper Z's well down the order compared to what we'd expect. I think it's just him, Bjorn Borg's Undies and Diswood who will have to complete a time. Of course, Papa's going a second faster here, so obviously he had a few mistakes in this qualifying session. He'll be looking to get a good time in here and bump himself well up the order. Got Bjorn Borg's Undies sitting in third at the moment. He's a bit off the pace, so let's see if Diswood can finish off qualifying strong and maybe find that extra tenth or two to get inside the 153s. Now, it looks like it's going to be a solo lap there from Diswood. Let's see what happens here. As Papa crosses the line, goes up the P7, so much better result there from B Papa AT on his final lap, and that puts him well inside the top 10 for this opening race of round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup Pro Class here at Nurburgring GP Circuit. So as we get ready to get underway for this first race, it'll be Diswood off pole in the CP Motorsports Porsche, with Viper Z sitting alongside in position 2, and then Bjorn Borg's Undies and Sir Slayer 1991 in 4th. Defending champion Ed Spud P666 is off 5th. And we're green, and we're off and racing for round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup, and it's Diswood who's off to a great start. Viper Z tucks in behind as we head to turn 1. Viper Z makes the lunge in, gets down the inside and takes the lead as a few cars are pushed wide there. It looks like Papa, Bjorn Borg's Undies and Enspud all pushed wide there. Diswood gets back down the inside and takes the lead into turn 3 as we head through to Mercedes Arena for the first time. So it's Diswood leading away from Viper Z, Sir Slayer in 3rd with Enspud P666 right on his tail, and V Papa AT thrown in there as well for good measure. As Spud looks down the inside, doesn't quite make that move stick. He's going to have to go the long way around into the turn 6 here. Even takes up a bit of dirt as well. But he gets the move done, so he's up in the 3rd place. But looks like they're trying to go 3 wide into this Dunlop curve. Enspud runs a little bit wide, and it's Sir Slayer that comes through and retakes position 3 here as they head up to the Michael Schumacher S. For the first time in this race. It's a very close battle here between these 3 as Sir Slayer looks like he's extended that advantage just a little bit. But he's certainly got no room to rest with Enspud and Papa right on the tail as well. Just a little bit further back, it looks like disappointed in 6th place. He'll be looking to pick up any pieces that come from this one. This is Diswood who's leading the way, heading towards the final corner of this opening lap, with Viper Z in pursuit. I'm sure Viper Z won't be letting up all race here. As a little bit further back, Sir Slayer has gone defensive down the main straight, trying to hold off any charge from Enspud as Enspud looks to go around the outside into turn 1. Not sure if he's quite made this stick. Yes, Enspud's held him out around the outside here, and Papa's looking to make a move as well if he can. So Sir Slayer's exit was compromised a bit there, and it's let Papa through as well. So in the space of a few corners, he's dropped from 3rd to 5th as Enspud moves into 3rd place, but V Papa AT is certainly right behind, so he'll be well in this fight for a podium position as well. So it looks like the gap between the 2 at the front still staying roughly the same. Just about 6-7 tenths between the 2. As the battle's on for 3rd place here between Spud and Papa. As we come through turns 10 and then turn 11 here as well. Down this sweeping back straight. Looks like Spud's just made a bit of ground, gained a bit of ground over Papa as Papa and Sir Slayer go side by side into the chicane. Don't think Sir Slayer came out too good out of that one. I think we missed what happened there a bit. We might just go to a quick replay on that one. Yeah, I think it looks like he was forced to take a bit of evasive action. Well, probably a bit of self-preservation there rather than avoiding action. So he's now coming under attack from Disappointed, and I just spotted during that replay that Bjorn Borg's Undies unfortunately disconnected from the room in that one, so very very bad moment for him, and that's going to prove costly in the scheme of things tonight. So DNF in race 1, certainly not ideal. So we have a bit of a look here. Battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, and they're all sliding around coming into the corners. Definitely pushing the limits here in this opening race of the Track Stars Porsche Cup at Nurburgring. So we're approaching the halfway stage of this opening race. Of course, Diswood 1 leading away ahead of Viper Z, and then defending champ N-Spud P666. And then we've got this nice little battle going on here between Papa AT, Sir Slayer and Disappointed. Of course, Sir Slayer has recently been signed to drive with Gabans in the It's Racing Esports Honda number 55 car for the upcoming Track Stars Touring Car Series endurance races, so definitely been enjoying his time here, mixing it with some regular drivers from the main series. It looks like N-Spud's just had to serve a penalty there, so that's dropped him well down the order, down into 6th place, so he's going to have a bit of work to do to fight back in this one. Yeah, as I said, Sir Slayer joined into the Division 2 series probably in the early stages of the season, a bit late to push a case for a main series drive, but he's certainly proving competitive here tonight amongst some main series regular drivers. So it's Papa AT, who's now moved into that final podium spot, but he's got Sir Slayer right behind. Disappointed, and then Spud. Disappointed makes a dive down the inside of Sir Slayer and takes position 4 right there. Is heading back up towards the front, and Viper Z's closed that gap into Diswood here, so definitely a race for the lead going on at the moment. Looks like Viper Z's got a good run down to this back straight. He'll be looking to make a move down on the chicane here. Can he get anything done? No, he has to settle to slot back into 2nd here. He'll be looking for a good exit around this final corner. Definitely takes a wide and looks to cut back in and get a good slingshot off this corner, which I think he's done the good effect. So he's got the draft, got a good run. Let's see whether he can make a move down into turn 1. As Diswood goes a little defensive there, just covers off the line a bit, but not too much to compromise his exit, that's for sure. Viper Z's hot on the tail here, going through the Mercedes arena. He'll be looking for a way around, desperate to take the victory in race 1 here. As Diswood makes use of all of the track he possibly can, heading out of turn 4. And it's just enough to hold off a charge from Viper Z here. It's definitely hard to know where to look in this one, as I'm sure if I take my attention away from this lead battle, that Viper Z will sure enough make a move, and I'm sure as that's going on, there's a good battle going on between Papa AT, Disappointed, Sir Slayer and N-Spud for that final podium position. As it's sort of gone back to the status quo a bit here, as Viper Z hasn't really made any ground on the last lap, so but he'll be using that slipstream with good effect, and Diswood will be certainly going on the defensive here. As Viper Z just isn't quite close enough to get that move done. Let's have a quick look back to see the battle between Papa AT and Disappointed for third place. This is very close between these three as we head on to the final lap of this race. Papa's driving down the inside there, trying to defend for all his life for that last podium spot. He's Disappointed, looks to go around the outside, and he's going to leave the door open to Slayer if he's not careful enough. There's a very good battle here between the four cars. It's certainly anyone's game on this final lap. Papa, knowing he can't really make too much ground on Viper's Head and Diswood here. He's going all defensive, holding on to that third spot. There's a bit of contact there between Sir Slayer and Spud as they fight it out for 5th place. Looks like Spud's got down the inside to take P5, but Sir Slayer's definitely not giving up here. So good battle there, still side by side between Spud and Slayer as they head towards the Dunlop curve. Looks like it's been settled in Sir Slayer's favour at this point, although he goes a bit across the gravel. That's going to slow his exit. Looks like Spud's got the run there and taken position 5, and Sir Slayer's now coming under attack from Nightwalker. Let's look up the order a bit. As Viper's Head and Diswood go side by side heading to this final chicane. Who's going to come out in front? Looks like Diswood might have it, but Viper's Head certainly getting a good run here. Let's see if he's got enough. He doesn't have enough to get down the inside, so looks like Diswood's going to take this one. So it'll be Diswood for CP Motorsports who takes the win in race 1 of round 7. And Disappointed's got into 3rd, but he's got a half-second penalty, so he's going to have to burn that off, and that's going to drop him to 4th, while V Papa AT takes the final podium spot. N-Spud P666 crosses the line in 5th and says Slayer in 6th. Nightwalker 964 in 7th, the other Tyrone in 8th, Ham Wallet in 9th, RSR Robo Sport in 10th, and then outside top 10 we've got GTTC Heaster, Honourably Airborne, Dan 08, SLM the Kazi one, and then of course Bjorn Borg's Undies, who unfortunately disconnected from that one. Hopefully we'll see him return for race 2 of this event. So well done to Diswood. Great drive, great defensive driving to hold off Viper's Head in race 1 of round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup. Of course, this is in the pro class, so we'll take a quick moment to reset the lobby settings for race 2. And then we'll have a quick look at the quick recap of the race results. So it was Diswood and Viper's Head at the front of the field, only 2 tenths separating them at the end of the race, and Diswood soaking up all the pressure he could off of Viper's Head, and Viper's Head unable to find a way around. And then Diswood's CP Motorsports teammate of V Papa AT taking the final podium spot after Disappointed had to serve a penalty on the final lap, with Disappointed crossing the line 4th eventually. 5th place was defending series champ N-Spud P666. 6th was Sir Slayer 1991. And then 7th was one of our series debutants, Nightwalker 964. And then of course another debutant in the Porsche Cup series, the other Tyrone following him home in 8th, just over a second behind. And then a little bit further back was Ham Wallet 1313. RSR Robo Sport rounding out the top 10. And then Looking down, the fastest lap of the race came from Viper Z on lap 2 with a 1:54.140. Alright everyone, we're nearly ready to go with race 2 for round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup. Of course the Pro class running first. Unfortunately we're missing Bjorn Borg's undies from this one, but still 14 cars on the grid. And of course it's a reverse grid race this time around. So this isn't looking very promising at all. Okay, what's going on there? Alright, apologies for that. Looks like we've had a bit of technical issues here. We'll just get this lobby restarted and hopefully we can get racing underway very shortly. In the meantime, if you're following along on either the Track Stars YouTube channel or even the personal Twitch stream, let us know where you're watching from. Maybe give us some predictions on who you think might win this second race here. So we've got Ellis Lynn predicting Seth Slayer 1991 for the win in this race, which could very well be possible as he's starting midfield, so you never know what can happen in these reverse grid races. Usually there's a little bit of carnage and it all depends whether the guys at the front can hold on well enough, whether how easy the guys starting from the back can carve their way through the field, and maybe someone from the middle can always sneak through on the opening laps and build a bit of a margin that can't be caught up in the short time that these races take. Okay, after a bit of delay there, we've finally got the grid set. And we're ready to go for race 2 of round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup Pro Class. SLM the Kazi won off pole position, Dan 08 joining him on the front row. Honourably Airborne and GTTC Heaster just behind on row 2. So we've got the 4 red lights up. And we're green and we're underway. It looks like GTTC Heaster's stuck on the grid there. I think that's their Slayer as well that's stuck as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's 4 cars stuck on the grid here, so we're gonna have to call a red flag on this one. And just when you think things could possibly go smooth, the PD servers throw a spanner into the works and tell you that that's not happening. Looks like we're gonna have a few delays here as we get some issues sorted out. Just waiting on a few more drivers to rejoin, doing a few restarts and double checks of internet connections, making sure everything's all fine for this second race. Hopefully can get things reset, no start line glitches, and get a race underway and maybe get it complete as well. Just waiting on one more driver. Of course, Viper's there who finished second in the first one, so he's just going through and doing his reset and won't be too far away from joining us. And then we'll get this race underway. Unfortunately, been a lengthy delay here with a few issues thanks to servers and lobby instability a bit. Alright, so we're nearly set to go for race 2. Take 3 of this one. So we've finally got the grid set up for the third time. Four lights are on and we're green. Let's see, and it looks like we've got cars stuck again. Who have we got this time around? Looks like Sir Slayer. So it's Kazi1 who's leading the way this time around. Dano following in second, Airborne and Easter. So Dano's leading the way on lap 1 of this race. Unfortunately, we've had a few had to drop out because of the rules we've got. We have one attempt at a start, and if you're stuck on the grid the second time, you have to retire. But it's Dano that leads the way through to Schumacher S. Honourably airborne, and then disappointed after a strong first race, but he's had to serve a penalty here which has dropped him down the order. So now it's Nightwalker in third, Viper's Head running in fourth place, so a strong first lap from him really put him up the order. Of course that benefited greatly from 3 cars dropping out, of course, but those are the breaks that you get sometimes, and I'm sure he'll be enjoying the fact that he's got a bit of a break in the form of not having to pass a few extra cars. But it's Dano out in front at the moment in the Shade On Racing Team Porsche. He'll come around and lead the end of lap 1. Honourably airborne following just behind with Nightwalker 964 in third. As Viper's Head looks to make a move in turn 1. Where's Nightwalker coming from? That's a very deep dive there from Nightwalker. I think he's missed the braking marker a bit there. Let's gonna have to get a good replay of that one. It comes in turn 1. It's come from way back. Makes contact with Dano at the apex and spins around, so that's dropped him well down the order here. By looks of things, Dano has a penalty here. Not sure whether that's part of PD's contact penalties, but right on his tail is Viper's Head, who's looking to make a move down the inside. So Viper's Head gets the move done. He'll take the lead of this race. Bit of contact there between Honourably Airborne and Dano. And Dano's going to have to stop and burn this penalty off, so that'll leave Airborne back in front. Diswood following just behind, looking to chase as hard as he can to make sure that he's not losing any points to Viper's Head for the round tally and maybe take pole position for this third and final race. As Diswood makes a look down the inside going into the chicane. Honourably Airborne just holds off to the left, so right, and lets him through, but that's opened the door for Disappointed to move ahead, and he's now coming under attack from the other Tyrone as well. As we head around the last corner, I think a bit of saving grace will come in the form of catching a draft off of Disappointed, but of course the other Tyrone might be able to make a move down in the turn 1 here. He gets down the inside, makes a move. That looked like a nice and clean move there from the other Tyrone, but looks like Honourably Airborne isn't going to give up on this just yet and will move down the inside. Oh, a bit of contact there, but nothing too major. Looks like we're going to have a guest join us in the commentary box in the form of N-Spud P666. So I'll just quickly switch things over to our commentary settings for having two of us here. And hopefully N-Spud P666 can maybe join us for the rest of this race. As we look a bit further up the front, and Viper's Head continuing to lead the way. Thiswood was the second down, but he's now back to, well, was down to 9 or 8 tenths, back out to 9. So not sure whether it's just the ebbs and flows around the lap, but maybe Thiswood will be looking to catch that final second back up in these last 3 laps coming up here in this second race of the Track Stars Porsche Cup. As Viper's Head heads around the final turn to complete lap 3, beginning of lap 4, halfway through this second race. He's looking strong here at the moment with a 1 second lead over Thiswood. Meanwhile, Disappointed in the other Tyrone, are battling it out for 3rd and 4th as we come through to Mercedes Arena. Honourably Airborne following just behind in 5th. And of course Dano, who started on the front row of this race, still not out of this. He's just sitting behind this pack in 6th place. As it looks like finally got N-Spud P666 joining us in the commentary box. N-Spud, do I have a copy on you?
Yes, you have a copy on me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, just unfortunate polyphony digital things, but yeah, that's the second time I've dropped out, and I probably didn't want to compromise anybody else's race, so I just thought I'd throw in the towel, make this a drop round, and yeah, just sit back and enjoy the night with the Porsches with the Pro Class. I get to race it, but now I get to watch over it as we see the other Tyrone making his debut, making a return actually to Track Stars Racing Series, is pulling up alongside DJ SX Pointed side by side, but DJ keeps that 3rd position ahead of the other Tyrone, whilst Honourably Airborne and Dano, who are up at the front, are keeping well up with the pack within the striking distance of 3rd position, as Honourably Airborne thinks about making a move on the right hander. That's not possible, but how's this corner going to fare out, Jarman? It's going to be got to brace yourself.
Yeah, good move there from Disappointed. Just retook that 3rd position through the chicane. I just noticed as I was introducing you that Disappointed did run a little bit wide heading out of that Dunlop curve down the bottom at turn 7, and he just got into the gravel a bit, and I think that compromised him a bit. Maybe he's feeling the pressure of these other few cars behind him, and probably not quite driving with a natural flow like he's accustomed to, and the pressure might be tensing him up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that corner, especially down at Dunlop corner, as you mentioned, it is a very tricky corner. There are so many lines that you can take through that corner, but it's obviously just about the one line that can just get you a good slingshot exit on heading towards the Michael Schumacher S.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's definitely many variations, whether you take a wide entry, a shallow exit, all those sorts of things. Your normal apex, yeah, there's many different ways to take that corner and get some speed out of it.
And he's definitely got himself a lot of speed, DJ SX Pointed, so coming at the end of this race, I'm pretty sure that'll promote him up into 3rd place on the grid. So 3rd place with DJ SX Pointed in behind Viper's Head and Dishwood. Dude, that's going to be a battle that DJ SX Pointed is going to be excited about for race 3.
Yeah.
As we look right behind, sorry to cut you off, they see Honourably Airborne make a move on the other Tyrone, so he promotes himself up into 4th place as Tyrone gets himself a half-second penalty, so he'll have to burn that off on the exit of this right sweeper. With right behind him, Dano is looking to have a great showing in the Porsche Cup and hopefully get himself up into the top 5. So if we see other Tyrone burn his penalty, he does, so he's respected the rules, so thank you, Tyrone, for reading the rule books. As we see Dano in 5th with GTTC Heister is up into 6th place, so he's showing a good performance in 6th place. But I guess in a way, these drivers having some good performances. As I saw Robbo make an amazing move on GTTC. Well done, Robbo, up into 6th place. So I was just saying that with all these drivers, 11 drivers on the track and 4 disappearing, including myself, I guess it's a bit of a free kick to some of these lower place drivers to get high up in the points.
Yeah, of course, you'd expect guys like Papa and yourself, and then of course Sir Slayer as well. They all three of you are certainly front runners, especially in that first race, so this certainly gives an opportunity to some of the guys like Dano and Robbo Sport and Heaster that didn't quite have a good first race, and they can maybe not worry so much about you fast guys coming through and putting them under pressure as much.
Exactly, and now with me jumping out of the car and retiring the car, I feel like, yeah, there's going to be an extra spot. There's going to be an extra position spot for everybody else. So, yeah, so unfortunately, like I said, it is a GT thing, and usually when GT servers are like that, I just usually throw in the towel and just be like, well, that's my end of the night, as I watch on and watch the pro class go away, and the elite class going to be starting very soon, as we get race 3 underway. Hopefully we can get those guys up and running shortly. As we look up towards the front of the field, it is Viper Set ahead of Diswood One, I apologise, who is coming around towards those final few corners. So role reversal between race 1 and race 2 jumpers, so race 3 could be anybody's between Viper Set and Diswood.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be very much about who can get the better start as well and get ahead on lap 1 as Viper Z heads around the final corner now. Extend that margin out a little bit, and he's going to come across the line and take out race 2 of the round 7 of the Track Stars Porsche Cup, with Diswood just close behind in second. What's going on here?
Oh, what happened to DJSX Pointed? Where is he gone? Did someone take him out?
No, he's in 4th.
Can we catch him? Oh, so what happened there? So obviously something must have happened between Airburn and DJSX Pointed. Yeah, well, something's going on here, so we can't go any further back, but DJSX Pointed, which was looking like a podium position, has now put Dano in the podium position up into 3rd place, so that's a bit of a shocker. I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, we completely missed that one, and of course congratulations to Dano for picking up a podium result. It's a very well deserved one for all his efforts, and of course congratulations as well to Viper Z on taking a win in that one, but won't quite be enough for pole position though, because of Diswood taking pole in qualifying.
Yes, there's always the even points, but yeah, obviously Diswood got the pole position, so bragging rights goes to him. So at least it'll still be a tasty front row come race 3.
Yes, as I'll quickly duck off and get these points tallied up as fast as possible so that we can get things underway for race 3.
No. So yeah, as I just said to you guys, that yes, the GT servers have been playing up tonight, and usually when the GT servers on my end play up, I usually just throw the towel in and be like, well, I don't want to compromise people, so yeah, give a few of the guys a chance to drive and gain that extra position, but that's okay. I'm here for the fun, and obviously my charge towards the front against myself and Diswood's actually leading the way in the pro class ahead of myself and Spud P666 is quite a big comfortable gap that Diswood has got, and he's definitely picked up his pace from last year, and he's making a great charge that he's going to get himself close to the championship in the Porsche Cup series. So as we look towards the grid, we might see if we can find a few underdogs or a few pose of threats for the race 3. I believe we could see DJSX Pointed making a bit of a charge up towards and giving a good challenge between Viperset and Diswood, but it's all going to be about that first corner for DJ in the Pit Lane Esports 24 Porsche coming into that first corner. I believe somebody as honorably Airborne can come back and get a good result as well, so long as people stay out of his way and he makes the charge for us, because we do know he is a fast driver. and 8th place is probably not the result he wanted. He probably could have consolidated 4th in that last race, but a mistake that led to an incident with DJ SX Pointed just dropped him down into 8th place. So, and then obviously you got to look out for guys such as V Papa AT and Sir Slayer, who missed out on race 2 like myself. So they'll be the ones to keep an eye on. They'll be starting towards the rear end of the grid. So watch for their charge later on as we start to get race 3 underway, ladies and gentlemen. Just reading through the chat on the YouTube. Papa, yes, I am in the box. As I said, I'm a little bit disappointed of how things turned out with the servers, and yeah, I'd usually just throw in the towel and just give up. So why not have a bit of fun and just watch you boys have a go for a fast one? Yeah, Wayne, you're definitely right there. Polyphony strikes again. Oh well, that's exactly right. DJ XX Pointer's got and Viper has a supporter in Toby Chuggs, so they'll be cheering those guys on. Those guys are in the top 3 so far, so fingers crossed they can stay within that top 3. But as the grid is set, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get ourselves underway within the next minute or so, so stay tuned for race 3 here at the Track Stars Porsche Cup for round 7 here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix.
Alright, I'm desperately hoping that no one's ran off and gone away from the sim or the controller while we had that break. Let's hopefully get this underway very quick, because I know a couple guys have got some other commitments to get to as well.
Exactly
and
right.
And we've got elite class waiting on us too.
Yeah, exactly. So they're definitely telling us to hurry up, so we're definitely doing our best. It's only a 10 lapper, boys, so it should last us for another 15 to 20 minutes. We've got Dishwood and Viper set on the front row with DGSX Pointer and Nightwalker 964 for the WRT racing team in 4th. The other Tyrone and Robbo in 6th. Dano and V Papa as the lights go out, and we are green flag racing. Who's got the jump? It looks like DJX has Pointer got himself a good start, but Dishwood just got himself a comfortable margin so far ahead of Viper Z. As we look towards the back, I want to see if there's going to be any close contact. Is anyone going to dive bomb each other? Looks like it's quite clean at the back. Yeah, I think no one's gone spinning around there, so that's good. That's always a good sign, but it is Dishwood 1 leading the way ahead of Viper Z. Actually, no, not Viper Z. DJSX Pointer has moved ahead, but Viper Z looking to make a charge back on DJSX Pointer, but for those two boys side by side, and the other Tyrone is getting involved here, and this is a great opportunity for Dishwood to pull away.
Yeah, this is playing right into Dishwood's hands here, as Disappointed's battling away with Viper Z, who replaced him at the Blue Moon Bay 250 and took the win there about a month ago. So they're keen to make sure that they they get the upper hand on one another for sure.
And DJSX Pointer making a move on Dunlop corner, and wow, what a move that was. That was like a nice sweet just slide through corner, but these guys still side by side, so I did say we had to keep an eye on DJSX Pointer. If he keeps it clean, he could possibly, I wonder if he can get himself up towards maybe 2nd place in the overall standings, or maybe it might be a bit too far, but regardless, DJSX Pointer is having a great round here at the German Grand Prix, and hopefully give some confidence as they're still side by side, Viper Z and DJSX Pointer. This is playing beautifully for Dishwood 1 to run away with for the next 9 laps.
Yeah, it's a 2-second gap already.
Deep there. It's 2 seconds, and DJX's Pointer has gone a little bit too deep there, and that gap is going to increase to about 3 seconds, Jarman. So that's amazing.
Woods has got a penalty.
Woods has got a penalty. No way. Oh, so as they're going to come towards each other side by side, are they going to catch up to Diswood before turn 1? They do, but is anyone going to get close to make a move on Diswood? No, they're not, as Viper said, looks to think about an opportunity on making a move for Diswood 1. So Diswood 1 getting himself I don't know whether it was a half-second penalty, but DJSX Pointer dropping himself down to 3rd place. So now the battle's back on, and I guess Diswood didn't need to do that, didn't need to take any risk. He had a 3-second gap.
Yeah, maybe pushing a little bit too hard on that one, and probably would have taken it a bit more cautious if it was me, as looks like DJ's picked himself up a 1-second penalty, so that's going to be devastating for him.
And that's going to drop him down from 3rd place all the way down towards the back. And look at that pack behind him. That pack is really tight, so that's going to really hurt him coming up towards the Schumacher S.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of places serving that 1-second penalty, although that being said, I wonder whether it might be a contact penalty, which in that case he could just keep racing on, but no, he's serving it, so I'm going to say that it's definitely a track limits penalty, but he's gotten away with that one actually, he only lost the 1 spot.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is very lucky from DJSX Pointer. I guess the corner, as he runs a little bit too wide and almost gets a bit tail happy and almost took Tyrone out. But I was going to say that the distance between the end of the Schumacher S and turn 11 is not that much, though it did play very well for DJSX Pointer for him not to get that penalty before the main straight.
Yeah, that was Tyrone that ran off there.
Tyrone just running a little bit wide there. Don't know if he got escorted out there by V-Pupper ATs. We see a replay. Did he get escorted? It looked like he did. It looks like it's just minimal contact, but I guess minimal contact on this game does affect the car. And yeah, I think that one will have to be looked at by the stewards between Papa and Tyrone. But as the race goes on, it is still Viper Z actually has taken the lead ahead of Diswood 1. So Diswood 1, who was up at a 2-second, but I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. The order is changing dramatically between Diswood and Viper Z. I thought it was Viper Z, but now it's Diswood 1 leading the race for the final race here at the Track Stars Racing Series Porsche Cup.
Yeah, I wonder whether it's wise to go to a replay there. Let's see if anything's come up. Nah, I missed that probably a bit too much.
Yeah, I think it was just more of a side-by-side action towards within those first few corners. So I don't think we would have missed much, but the action still is up at the front between Diswood 1 and Viper Z, as we see in 3rd place. I can't see the name through my screen, but is that Nightwalker's actually promoted himself up into 3rd place? So great showing by Nightwalker in the WRT Motorsport Porsche, followed by DJSX Pointed and Papa 18, the 2nd CP Motorsport Porsche. So the Porsches are doing from CP Motorsport have delivered, and Diswood 1 is leading the way, and Papa, after that unfortunate getting stuck on the grid in race 2, is within the top 5 within the first few laps.
Yeah, very good performance there from him, and I'm trying to think, I'll just have a quick look. He was up in 8th for the 2nd rate on the grid for this race, so he has made up a few spots, but certainly helped out by his race 1 result, that's for sure.
Exactly right, and Sir Slayer as well, who also had who was also stuck on the grid, is up into 6th place as well. So he's making some good charges forward with honourably airburn. We thought he would have posed like a strong threat towards the top 5, but I guess that midfield pack, which is very aggressive and is very, very close, you get caught up in that midfield pack, and you're going to be stuck there forever.
Yeah, it's a tough one to get out of, especially when you get yourself in amongst all the battles and all the passing dives that go on through there, and sometimes you can even find yourself getting pushed to the back.
So look, as we also see down there as well, we also see H4M Wallet 313 is down in 8th place, I think Robbo Sport was down in 9th place, but with Kazi and a few others down towards the bottom of the grid, not so sure with their IS and GTC Easter in 9th place. So those boys had a great result within their first few races. Looked like Robbo made a bit of a mistake on at one stage, because he was high up towards the top 7, top 8. So we didn't catch that on Robbo, but he's dropped himself down into 12th place, and he's one of them that needs to. He said to us earlier that he needs to get a bit of a move on, because his next event is pretty much starting within the next few minutes. So if the race can go faster, if Diswood and Viperset can pick up the pace, then Robbo Sport can get into his next race. As we see Diswood and Viperset side by side going through the chicane here, as we see Diswood still maintaining that position. So these two battling. There's a nail-biting battle between Diswood and Viperset throughout this whole event, Jarman.
Yeah, of course, race 1, that thrilling end to the race with Viper's Head hot on the tail, and I think he's got a draft here, so he's pulling to the inside, so he's got the advantage here on this time around as he heads into turn 1. Diswood tries to move across a little bit, but Viper's Head was there.
Is he going to take the long way? He does take the long way, but can Diswood maintain that inside position? He doesn't, and Viper's Head is going to take the lead of the Nurburgring Grand Prix for the Porsche Cup with lap 5 of 10, ladies and gentlemen. So we're not running out of laps here. We've got plenty more racing to go between the end of the Pro Class and the Elite Class coming up very shortly, so stay tuned for that. But we have a ripping battle between Viperset from the Satellite Racing Porsche and the Diswood one from CP Motorsport. So two big names going up, fighting tooth and nail within the top 2 positions.
Yeah, of course, both tied on points, so whoever wins this one will certainly come out on top for the round as well. So it's all to play for here in these final 6 laps.
And so far, Viperset is leading the way with the fastest lap, which gets him an extra point in the championship. So I guess any point counts for Viperset to get him to claw himself up further up towards the championship after starting a little bit later than most of us. But I guess with a performance like this and consistency within the top 3, even the top 5, he's definitely going to get himself up within that top 5 in the championship come the end of round 15.
Yeah. Top 5 certainly possible. I don't know about contending for the championship itself though, because
I believe he is too far away.
Yeah, someone like Diswood who's been constantly putting in podium performances, he's going to get some nice hauls of points across the rest of the season if he keeps that up. So it would definitely be hard to catch up.
And with Diswood one's pace throughout the whole season in 2021 has been exceptional. It's been even hard for myself as the reigning Porsche Cup champion to find myself pretty hard to keep close to Diswood. So he's definitely turned it up a notch, Diswood one in the CP Motorsports. So I'll definitely be trying my best to get close to him. But within these last few rounds, I can't get any closer to Diswood, and don't want to throw in the towel, but I'm never going to give up. But I'll try to keep myself close to Diswood come the next round.
Maybe it is Diswood that's making the difference in the touring cars as well.
Absolutely right, and yeah, I guess put anything in front of this man, Diswood one, and he can steer it to the absolute guts and throw it around and get himself right up into the contention of the podium. So it's a great showing for Diswood one, as he still hasn't taken his eyes off Viperset, and he wants that win. He wants the bragging rights of the Porsche Cup, a Pro Class race here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix. As we're coming up towards halfway towards the Grand Prix, we're only about 4.5 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have our Elite Class coming up shortly, but it is Viperset leading the way in Pro Class. Diswood got a little bit of a better exit coming out of the Schumacher S's. Is he going to think about a move? He doesn't. So he sticks right behind him coming towards the back straight.
Yeah, he's definitely got the slipstream here as he comes out of turn 11, heading down the long back straight. Will he make a move into this chicane here? It doesn't look like he's close enough to do it though.
Yeah, Diswood one is a very patient man, and he doesn't want to pick a battle where that he can't really win. Oh, it looks like he got a little bit taily there for Diswood one. So I was saying he doesn't want to really pick a fight too early in the race, and he just wants to make sure he makes that move within the last 2 to 3, within those last 2 to last lap. So we'll be keeping an eye on laps 8 and 9 and 10, so to put Diswood one to make his move.
Certainly keeping on the tail, but it looks like a few little tiny mistakes are just creeping in there, but that's just dropped the gap out a bit.
and he's out of the slipstream range, Jarman, so that's going to be very costly for Diswood 1. As we look towards the battle for third place, it looks like Honourably Eben, I apologise, has moved himself up into 5th place, so he's definitely on the charge. And Diswood, I always keep getting Diswood and DJSX Pointer, they're mates in real life, but their usernames usually get a little bit confusing. So DJSX Pointer in 4th place with Nightwalker in 3rd, and actually having a great drive. Nightwalker in 3rd place hasn't been challenged, and I think if it wasn't for DJSX Pointer penalty, I believe Nightwalker could have had a contention, like a proper contention for 3rd place.
Yeah, he's doing very well so far tonight. And of course, a strong time on the circuit experience. There's seen him placed in the pro class, so he's certainly made the most of it, and a strong debut from him.
Absolutely, and I can't remember what was his time that he set on the circuit experience. Was he one of the last people to set a lap time there?
I think he did a 2:19. Can't remember what the 3 minor digits were, but
yeah, that's okay. Well,
it's definitely a 2:19.
Yeah, that's definitely strong pace, and he's showing that with a class performance in 3rd place. But DJ not giving up, and he wants to get that 3rd place back after getting a 1-second penalty for possibly a corner cut, possibly a bit of a contact penalty. We're not too sure, so time will tell. As we see, we're going to get ourselves up into 3 laps to go. So Nightwalker in 3rd place, DJ and Honourably Airburn V Papa AT has dropped a little bit further away from these guys, so he won't be in contention for the top 3 for the 3rd position anymore. As DJ thinks about a move on Nightwalker. Is he going to get that Porsche PLE pulled up? He has done, but has Nightwalker got any response coming towards turn 2? No, he doesn't. So DJ, lovely move from you, Sonny, into 3rd place, and Airburn is going to get himself up right up close into the action as well.
Yeah, great move there from Disappointed, and of course Nightwalker didn't really have much of an answer there by the looks of things, and hopefully Disappointed just settles into his pace now and maybe looks at putting a bit of a gap on these two in the final few laps, as Airborne's looking to get himself a bit further up the order in this one as well.
And Airborne have only making his debut only a few weeks ago. We know he's got the pace, and we know he's got the talent behind the wheel, but he's just been caught up with a few mishaps, wrong place at the wrong time. So we do know that he is a fast driver. So can he get himself up towards that podium position as DJ goes defensive ahead of Nightwalker? Side by side as they go through turn 11. Is DJ going to make that stick? He does, and he keeps 3rd place, but Airborne's right behind, and he's just caught a little bit of that ripple strip. Nightwalker goes on the gravel, but look at this. This is going to be a tug of war between DJ, Nightwalker, and Honourably Airburn. We don't know what's going up ahead, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle to watch, and V Papa is going to be looking ahead of himself and thinking, yes, boys, keep battling. I want to be up in that 3rd position later in the race as well.
Yeah, it just looks like a bit of a bad exit there from Nightwalker though, and that's just given Disappointed enough of a gap, nearly enough to get out of that slipstream.
Airburn runs a little bit wide there. He just caught the gravel there at the wrong time. And yes, like you did say, when you pull out a gap like that, you usually have a bit more of a leeway, a bit of a comfort zone, a bit of a breather. But I guess it always depends on the braking point as well, that for Nightwalker, as he just runs a little bit too deep, and Airburn looks like he's going to get that move stick, and with the mistake from Nightwalker, Airburn has got that move stick, and he is up into 4th place. Can Papa get himself up into 4th? No, he doesn't. He sticks right behind Nightwalker, as Nightwalker starts to get a little bit pushy on Airburn, but as Airburn got to run here wide, he does, but it's still side by side between those guys, and that is giving DJ the full advantage to run away with 3rd place, unless he makes a mistake with 1.5 laps to go. As Papa thinks about a move on Nightwalker. A nice dive bomb move from Papa. He doesn't make that stick, so what was going to be a great position for Nightwalker has dropped himself down to 5th and possibly 6th place, Jarman.
Yeah, I was very surprised with that move from Papa, but I wouldn't exactly call that a dive bomb, because I think he set himself well up through turn 5 and got himself a good run just to get that advantage over Nightwalker and be able to just make a little lunge down the inside. But he just couldn't quite make it stick.
Yeah, that corner can usually provide a few slingshot and a few different lines and speed when it comes to making a move. So Papa did set himself up, but Eben is not running away with 4 players with Nightwalker and Papa AT looking to get into that contention. But look at DJ, he's actually blown the field away and he's actually got himself up to 3rd place. Does Nightwalker pull this car up and does he make it stick? He does, but Eben takes a bit of a shortcut, wondering whether he was escorted wide there as Eben cuts that chicane. That'll have to be looked at towards the end of the race. Post stewarding, we have to see if he actually cut the corner and gained an advantage out of that jump.
Yeah, well, looking at it, the in-game track limits hasn't handed out a penalty, so I'm just wondering whether maybe he was pushed across that chicane and the game decided to take a bit of leniency.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. That looks like, I don't know if that was a bit of a push to pass from Nightwalker or he just, Eben went a bit too deep, but Eben has just dropped himself back up and down into 5th place and Nightwalker up into 4th. So something to look at post stewarding between Nightwalker and Eben. But as we look up towards the front, so it looks like that battle pack has just cooled down a little bit. But leading the way for the final lap, it is Viper for Satellite Racing ahead of Diswood 1. I'm not so sure how big the gap is between those two, so I wonder if Diswood has thrown in the towel or if he's just if he's still right up on his bumper. As we see
There's
right
a bit of a gap there now.
There is a gap. So yeah, so Viper has checked out and given Diswood a bit of a good, I would say probably about a second and a bit over Diswood. So a great performance from Viper and Diswood ones are both drivers you have to commend for this race, Jarman. They've done really well and they've had an exceptional race, and looks like he's dropped himself all the way far back down. So there's a huge gap between Diswood and Viper as he rounds up the final few corners. Viper from Satellite Racing had a great battle with Diswood early in the race, but made a move on lap 5 of 10 in the Nurburgring Grand Prix to take the lead and never looked back. As he rounds up final corner, turn 16, we get to see Viper and Satellite Racing take line honours here at Race 3 and the round for the Track Stars Pro Class Cup in Nurburgring at the German Grand Prix, with Diswood 1 in 2nd place, with DJ SX pointing to take a bow. DJ, what a fight that he had to do coming from a penalty, all dropping himself down into 5th place and gets himself up into the podium, with Nightwalker, honourably Urban in 5th and V Papa AT in 6th place.
As Ham Wallet comes through in 7th, and then Sir Slayer 8th, the other Tyrone in 9th, and GTTC Heaster in 10th. And I'm wondering who... It was Robbo Sport that just got 11th over Kazi 1 there.
Yep, so...
And it looks like Dano dropped out as well.
Oh, he dropped out. Oh, that's a bit unlucky for Dano. From a great performance from Dano. But no one can stop this guy. Viper said he's on a roll. Any class you put him in the Track Stars Racing Series competition, he will excel and fly. And oh.
Have I got you there? It sounds like you dropped out a little bit.
Oh yeah, that did drop out. To apologise on that. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, yeah, it was just any car you can put Viper Z in, Jarman, he can excel in that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a class driver and very much shows some strong speed in whatever car he jumps in.
Exactly. So as we run through the grid, it is Viper Z for the Satellite Racing taking out line honours and the overall victory here at Track Stars Porsche Cup Pro Class, with Diswood 1 taking 2nd place and DJ a solid 3rd place after getting himself a full 2nd penalty there and dropping himself down as low as 6th place, but promoting himself up back into 3rd. So great fight back for DJ. Nightwalker showing great speed in 4th place, with Airburn in 5th. So between Walker and Airburn, we'll have to keep an eye on that maybe post-race and see what happened on that last lap, because I'm not so sure if it was clean or whether it was just a minor contact. Who knows? Well, that'll be one for the stewards to look at. So we see Papa AT go from 8th to 6th place. So like you said, Jarman, it was a decent comeback for Papa after that first race performance, and yeah, and put himself up into 6th place there.
Yeah, great great move there from Papa, and yeah, certainly recovers some points there from the night, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And as we set ourselves up, ladies and gentlemen, for the elite class, it is 9:15 here in Australia as we get themselves under qualifying very shortly here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix. So stay tuned for the elite class as we get them underway, and hopefully we'll bring you more action into the Track Stars Porsche Super Cup. So stay tuned for the elite class, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, I will put the call out there quickly. If there's anyone that does want to jump in and race and hasn't already signed up, there is a couple of spots left in this one. So it'd be a nice way to get yourself involved, or unless you're already signed up to race in the series and maybe just don't have anything on at the moment, then of course you're more than welcome to jump on in and have a race with us all.
Exactly, and even if you guys are in the pro chat, in the pro class, you want to join us in the chat, we're more than welcome to take some questions, have a bit of a chat with the YouTube. So definitely want to get involved with our community and want to see and just, I don't know, answer questions, talk about the weekend coming up, talk about, who knows, talking about the Formula One coming up this weekend, Jarman, with their new sprint qualifying. So I wonder how that's going to be worked out.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting one, and something I'll be watching very keenly, and I'm sure I know there's a few complaints from some people, and then others that are very much looking forward to it. I'm probably more on the fence with it compared to everyone else. Sort of more taking a wait and see approach, and maybe watch a couple of these sprint races before making a judgment.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what we have to see, and I do see that in a few league races as well. So even in a few league races, we usually see drivers or some leagues doing like a sprint qualifying, and then they get into the main race. So it can work. It can work in league racing, and sometimes it can work in the real world. So who knows? I guess Formula One is a different story compared to the sim world, and I guess any other motorsport in the world as being the most expensive category of racing.
Yeah,
so definitely one to keep an eye on come this weekend at Silverstone. So hopefully, if everyone, I have a feeling that everyone has been downplaying it a little bit, but I guess nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows if it's going to be good, if it's going to be bad. If it's bad, then Formula One will pull their hand up and say we admit fault, and yeah, we won't do it again.
Yeah, well,
kind of like that.
That's a good thing about having free runs at this year, is that if it doesn't work, they can just say, okay, we didn't get that right. We've still got the knockout qualifying to fall back on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even that not back qualifying, geez, what did that? I wonder who came up with that. I remember I was at the Australian Grand Prix in 2016 when they introduced that, and there was only one guy that started that knockout qualifying was Jolyon Palmer back in the Renault days, and yeah, that was the only standout performance that he had throughout his whole career, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. Well, I didn't mean that version of the knockout qualifying. I meant the one that we have at the moment that we can fall back on if the sprint races don't quite work out as planned.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, of course, that one was very much a disaster. I remember watching, I think, the first couple rounds on TV, and certainly a lot of confusion amongst all the teams, not knowing whether to send their cars out for that one, and yeah, that didn't last too long at all. As what have we got? We've got 10 cars in at the moment. I just might have to do a bit of a quick check of the attendance sheet and see who's actually racing.
Exactly, no worries. As we see DJSX Pointed, who is our live steward for tonight, he's after I took the role last time out at Catalonia. Now DJSX Pointed is taking the role from me, and so I can do some commentary work for you for you, ladies and gentlemen. So we can provide some great action. But maybe if he wants to join in on the commentators box every now and then, he's more than welcome to, DJ. So no worries if you want to have a bit of a bant whilst you're stewarding at the same time. But I guess in a way you want to keep an eye on everyone's performance. But from Catalonia, from what I saw last time out, Jarman, it was actually really good performance. So if these guys deliver tonight at the Nurburgring, then like we say, we can give these guys and girls, we mentioned SRF Han 9989 from Great Britain, they can go back into their time slot.
Yeah, that's certainly right. We can go back to running at the same time, and maybe these guys can have a bit of an earlier night, and if they've got another race later on in the night that they want to do, they can go do that as well.
Exactly. So yeah, hopefully the racing can be as good as what it was in Catalonia, but we do know a few notorious corners where dive bombs can happen. Turn 1 down towards the back end of the left hand sweeper in that first sector, possibly I would say possibly down a Dunlop curve and then down towards the chicane. So there are a few spots where unnecessary moves can happen, and we've seen that in the pro class as well. So not every class is perfect, but we want to make sure that standards are up point, and hopefully we can give these guys at least a good chance to prove themselves that they don't need a steward to look after them.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and the main aim of this is to just have some clean, fun racing between everyone, and of course it is a lot more fun if you're not getting drilled off the track on the first corner every time out. I can certainly attest to that.
Yeah, and we've seen that plenty. We see that plenty of times. I guess not every league is perfect, and mistakes are made in turn 1. But we always have to. We always say to our drivers, just please be careful. Just go slower than normal. I mean, you don't see like a $500,000 or even $1 million V8 supercar dive bombing into turn 1 and taking the whole field out. So you kind of have to treat it like a real world situation where, if you crash into the corner, then you break the car, but you also pay the consequence.
Yeah, that's exactly right there. And of course you see when people make mistakes in supercars and F1 that maybe their other competitors aren't too happy with them as well when that happens. So it happens all across real life and also on the online racing as well. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess everything else is pretty ordinary, and it can be great. Leagues can develop and leagues can become the best thing on Gran Turismo and even on Gran Turismo 7, but always got to iron out a few things, whether you are a beginner at league racing or you've done league racing for so many years. It's all about just learning the drivers and knowing how they race, and if you get the consistent drivers every week and if they all show up, then clean racing does occur.
Yeah, that of course, you can't. Well, it takes a while to get clean by learning how to race around other people, and sometimes you learn the hard way, and other times you just gel with certain drivers on the track and you just know that you can race them side by side and pretty hard and still not have contact with them.
Yeah, exactly. So as we look to get ourselves ready for the elite class, we have 2 minutes until qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. So I believe leading the championship in the elite class is actually Magical Wax from the Ice R Racing team, leading the way in that championship. As I pull that up quickly, yes, it is Magical Wax.
Magical Wax from Highlander and then Chef Toddy.
So all the top 3, I'll even say even the top 4 is only separated by 14 points. So that is Magical Wax, Highlander, Chef Toddy, and Benjo GLR 19. So 14 points between the top 4. I'd say it is pretty close compared to the main series, but it is basically the elite class, and obviously the drivers are getting familiar with these cars, and they promote great driving, and hopefully by the end of the season they can promote themselves up into pro class.
Yeah, there definitely is a few guys that would probably be candidates to promote themselves up, and there's a few guys amongst here that I look at and go, yes, you could probably make the move up if you needed to or wanted to. And probably another one to watch out that might be a bit of a dark horse during the season is Gabanz. He's sitting back in 6th place in the championship at the moment. He's missed 3 rounds so far, but he's actually closing in the gap.
Exactly, he's missed 3 rounds. Magical Wax has missed 2. Highlander's missed 2. Chef Toddy's only missed 1. Banjo's done all the rounds for himself. So yeah, so some of these drivers have their drop rounds of 0 points to their name, so they need to basically show up every other round just to hopefully get themselves towards the championship battle.
Yes, as we'll get this underway. The one driver we're waiting for hasn't confirmed whether he's racing with us, so we'll kick things off so that we're not waiting around too long and get started with qualifying.
As we get ourselves underway for qualifying here at the Porsche Cup Elite Class, I am NSPUT P666 Nick Patasso with Jarman Dalitz. It's racing, commentating for you for the Track Stars Porsche Cup Series Elite Class for round 7 here at Track Stars Racing Series. As we get ourselves underway for qualifying, actually no we don't, because somebody has joined the lobby afterwards, haven't they, Jarman?
Yes, James O'Bro dropped out and then rejoined.
Oh, what's going on here? I think I believe everyone's is dropping out of qualifying, so that way James O'Bro can come back in. I'm not too sure on that.
No, that's not what they're meant to do.
Oh man, just classic, Oh well, what can you do? So I think Gabanz it's just drives himself back into the pits, and he thought it was going to be a red flag, but obviously not, Gabanz. So yes, you are qualifying, but there will be a red flag as soon as this is over. So leading the way in the championship and leading the way on the track for qualifying, it is Magical Wax for the Ice R Racing, sponsored by Black Dog Institute. So Black Dog Institute is a company that supports mental health, and especially now in these times, during these COVID-19 times, if you do need some assistance and you do need some help with depression, and you do have a case of mental health problems, Black Dog Institute is a great source and is a great location for you to talk to somebody.
What's gone on? Did James O'Bro jump out? Not James O'Bro, Magical Wax. What's happened to him?
Not so sure, to be honest. It looks like I don't know. I feel like
jumped out and left the qualifying session. That's bewildering.
I believe
it was posted
usually
in chat.
Most people think that when it comes to the red flag, that they think that they have to jump out straight away. But if you said after qualifying, then yeah, I guess you think, well, you've just lost your position,
Yeah, that's going to be costly for Magical Wax, because we have committed to the fact that we're not restarting this session. We're just going to do a restart after the session, so that means that we'll continue qualifying, complete it, and then we'll do a reset of the race, call the red flag at the race start, and then get the drivers back in so that they can race.
Exactly. So leading the way for qualifying is SRF Han 9989, the only female here at Track Stars Racing Series, representing the Ice R Racing team in that really nice Porsche pink and white livery that they've got going on for her. So it's a great showing for SRF Han. Just had a few performances down towards the back end of the top 10, but she's definitely not far away from sneaking into the top 10, as we see drivers like Devlin Calypso, Wex Scale, probably her, and Benjo GLR19 as her closest competitors coming towards the back end of this race. but towards the back end of the race. So just probably not executing the Schumacher races as fast as she wants. So back as well, definitely Calypso as well, probably not going as fast, but we have seen, you know, guys like Devlin Calypso and Wex Scarlet, they are committed to Track Stars, and we have seen them over the weeks and months of their commitment in Track Stars, and usually it pays off with some great performances.
Yeah, certainly doing well there, keeping the laps going, and that Warpath 360 looks like it's closing in, so
yeah,
even though Han's going to cross the line first, she will be at the top of the timesheets briefly, but I feel like Warpath will probably soon enough knock her off of pole position.
Yeah, so as we look down towards SRF Han, what is her first time? It's just going to be over 2 minutes, 2-minute one. But yes, like you called it, Warpath has got himself up into possibly in the 158s there for Warpath there. So Wex Scarlet has promoted himself up into second place with NZL Cowboy still in fifth place at Benjo GLR 19. So we talked about Benjo GLR 19 being a factor in the championship. This is definitely going to help him as he promotes himself up to seconds. But one guy, as you said, your teammate, your driver, Gabans, leading the way and almost 8/10 clear of Warpath there. So this is definitely going to help Gabans for the start of the race.
Yeah, certainly. Well, so far it's going to be a good position for him, but of course there's guys like Highlander who has proven himself to be a fast racer as well, so let's see what Highlander can do on his lap as he comes across the line.
Oh, looks like it's going to be close. It is fastest. Wow, what a big margin he's got over Gabans there. So take a bow. Highlander 215 for the ISO Racing Team in the number 15. Great performance from Highlander. So what has Gabans got in his arsenal in the number 55 It's Racing Esports Porsche? So taking over your Porsche there, Jarman, and showing and putting it up towards the front in the elite class. So definitely cooped him back up into your squad, and he's delivering.
Yeah, he's very much a good signing there for the team, and of course we did loan him out to Pit Lane Esports for a moment there, while disappointed was needing a teammate to help him out, but of course then we had Deadpool drop out of the touring car series, so we've had to recall Gabans from his loan and take him back into our team.
Yeah, and he's definitely been showing some great performances last time out in the Catalunya Grand Prix. As I see, who's that just went up to the top? Warpath as well. So did he actually go back to the top?
Yes, he did.
Ooh, so
Warpath. 157 there.
Ooh, so we got ourselves a tasty front few rows, ladies and gentlemen, as we see Gabans go purple on his sector. So is he going to improve his time coming up towards the checker flag? He's going to get one more lap in. Does he improve? He does. And oh my god, that is a great time from Gabans there. I think he set himself a 156 there. So what has Highlander got in response? They're both going to get one more lap each, and it's the lap that counts for these guys. So Highlander 215 getting himself up towards the final corner. Can he improve his lap, or is he going to set himself up for one more lap to go? Is he just run a little bit wide there, just not the line that you need to take, and that will compromise his exit, his speed coming towards turn 1.
Yeah, let's see what's going around. So Warpath looks like he's gone 5/10 quicker here.
And Warpath has probably been watching the stream and cheering his boy on, Nightwalker 964, and the great performance that they have in that WRT Porsche. So I wonder if he's got himself a little bit more confidence and a bit more of a boost of confidence for Warpath. Get himself up towards the front row. He's up on his best time, but I'm not so sure that's going to be close to qualifying, as we see the time set by Gabans is a fair margin. So he needs to find a few extra tenths to get himself up towards the front, towards pole position. As you see, he's executing the final corner. Can Warpath get himself up onto pole position, or is it still going to be Gabans? He just runs a little bit wide there, but he's just got it on the black stuff. Can he come across the line and get first? He doesn't, but he improves his time. So still Gaban's leading the way in the elite class for the Porsche Cup at Track Stars Racing Series. So is he going to improve his time, Gaban's, or is he just going to consolidate and just hope that guys like Highlander 215 doesn't improve his lap? Even Chef Toddy's up into third place as well. So Chef Toddy, we didn't think of him at the back end of it. He's got himself up into third place and in a great position as Gaban's gets a tow, and he's just extended that gap. So full credits to Gaban's there, 156.4. Absolutely solid time from Gaban's there. And Steph Toddy, where did his lap come from? Up into third place, as we might look down towards Highlander. I wonder if he's actually improving his time. He's on a personal best coming up towards the final corner, so he's the only main challenger that can topple Gaban's, but I'm not so sure if that's going to be enough. He's coming up towards the final corner. Is he getting himself? No, he doesn't, but he promotes himself up back into third place as that was taken by Chef Toddy. So we have our grid set, Jarman. It is Gaban's for the It's Racing Esports entry in number 55 in first place, with Warpath, a surprising second place for Warpath, with third place going to Highlander 215 and Chef Toddy in 4. So as we did say earlier in the broadcast, there will be a red flag and we will have to cancel this race start as we get our other remaining drivers back into the lobby and back onto their grids. So maybe drivers might be getting a few practice starts in, and hopefully maybe they get themselves what it's like, have a feel of the car, of how it launches on the, I guess in a way how it launches off the line. But as we do see, yes, we do see drivers jumping out, and they are listening to Ryan, DJ SX Pointed, as the live steward. And yeah, so they've just responded to him and they've done wonders for us. So well done, guys. We'll get you guys back on the grid very shortly. So looking in the chat here of the Track Stars YouTube channel, we see Ollie Cross supporting James O'Bro. So unfortunately, James O'Bro is going to be having a bit of a fight back towards the rear of the grid, as well as Magical Wax. We did see Chef Toddy leave the room. I wonder if that was maybe a blue screen. So hopefully he gets himself back into the lobby as quickly as he can, because he doesn't want to give up that 4th position. So Ollie Cross must be a Caviar Racing fan, or maybe a driver in their series. So we do want to shout out, ladies and gentlemen, that Caviar Racing Team and Shadon Racing Team have their big event coming up later in the next few weeks, where they're going to be doing a Bathurst 300 in the Toyota 86s. So it'll be Shadon Racing Team versus Caviar Racing, with a few late entries coming in from the Ice R Racing Group as well. So it's going to be an exciting race to watch, as yourself, Jarman, looks like they're going to be commentating and broadcasting the stream. So that'll be a great watch from on the couch, as well as hoping those guys have a great event at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely one I'm looking forward to, and Wiseacre came to me and asked if I knew anyone that could stream it, and I did actually put myself forward to do it. So it should be a good event to watch and stream, I reckon.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind joining you, but I do have an event on Tuesday night, so unfortunately I won't be able to come along and help you out in the comm box, but I do know you've got the confidence to do it. So yeah, so hopefully for you it's going to be an exciting time for you, and hopefully I get to catch you back on the stream later in the evening, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I think it should be a lot of fun, that's for sure. As we look to get this one underway, we're just putting the finishing touches on the grid order, and we'll get the race underway after that short delay.
Yep, so it is getting ourselves past that 9:30 mark here in Australia, so at night time. So most of these guys will be getting themselves, well, hyped up, maybe caffeinated, because they have to keep themselves awake for the next, I would say, half an hour, 40 minutes, Jarman, if they want to have a clean race, and not make any mistakes within the next half an hour.
Yeah, of course. It has been a bit of a delay, unfortunately, due to the Pro class running a bit late due to their issues, and then of course the little issue we had here with qualifying as well. So, but we're finally getting into things, and hopefully we can push along and get things running quickly.
So Gaban's leading the way in the It's Racing Esports Porsche, followed by Warpath for the WRT Motorsport entry, Highlander 215 for ISO, and Chef Toddy for Caviar, and NZL Cowboy in the M&R cars. Top 5 teams in the top 5, and we are green flag racing. It is Gaban's with a strong start, leading the way with Highlander 215 getting himself a better jump ahead of Warpath. So as we look up towards the first corner, someone's coming in for a massive dive bomb there. Who is that? And that was Magical Wax that's coming for a massive dive bomb from third place, as we look towards a replay on that dive bomb move that Magical Wax made. So that was a little bit unnecessary call there, unnecessary judgments there, unless he got hit by somebody.
Looks like he, I don't know, maybe a bit of frustration from jumping out of qualifying, possibly, but...
I don't know about that one, Jarman. That's something that will have to be looked at, especially maybe looked at by Ryan in the as a large steward, and maybe he might have to make a call and just call Magical Wax on the radio and say, mate, that's not on, and you might have to pull back and give some positions up.
Yeah, let's see what's happening here, but of course Gabans is out to a 1.4 second lead over these opening few corners, with Highlander 215 behind in second place, and then of course Magical Wax already up to third place after that first corner. So even though he missed qualifying, he has got himself up the order very quickly.
And our championship leader in third place, making a really late move there. So I'm not so sure how many cars he had to hit or how many cars he had to use as a brake, but we're not too sure as we see a nice replay. Oh, he actually got the back end of Chef Toddy there. So, and making contact with his teammate in Highlander 215. So something definitely not right there between Magical Wax as we catch on board with a few others. James O'Bro's right behind his team boss and Chef Toddy, and James O'Bro's up into 5th place as he looks to make a solid move on NZL Cowboys. So, yeah, ooh. I think, to me, I believe he just caught the back end of Chef Toddy and just couldn't pull it up, unfortunately. But we'll look into that later on in the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are keeping our head focus ahead, and we do see Magical Wax, our championship leader, in third place with a question mark of the penalty over his head, with James O'Bro coming from the rear end of the grid to 4th place on track. So he's going to make himself up. He's going to probably move himself up further up on the grid, as we see Ollie Cross supporting his mate James O'Bro up towards the front, with Chef Toddy right behind NZL Cowboys. So the 4th, 5th and 6th place, Jarman, they're full of Kiwis here. So we've got an Aussie top 3 with the Kiwi 4th to 6th, and a few Belgians down in 7th and 8th.
Yeah, I could say it's a little bit of revenge for the last few years of the V8 Supercars series, with Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin all out in front, making the Aussies look a bit second rate in that series. So maybe a couple of the Aussies getting their own back here. Of course, we can't forget that Gabans is, I think, well, he does have German heritage as well, so...
Yeah,
originally was from Germany.
I'm not so sure. I can't remember if he was born in Germany or if he just has a German background, but he is. But regardless, he is racing at his home track here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix in Germany. So he must love this track so much, and he's treating him wonders, leading the way in the Porsche Cup Elite class for race 1 here at Track Stars Racing Series. We see Chef Toddy think about making a move on his fellow compatriot NZL Cowboys. He think about making a move, he doesn't, so he just pulls back a little bit and sticks into 6th place, but leading the way, our soldier, our number 1 soldier in the Australian Defence Force, Gabans, leading the way in 1st place with Highlander 215, getting caught by his teammate in Magical Wax, our championship leader. So Highlander and Magical Wax very close in the championship, but like you said, Jarman, that Gabans, if he has a strong performance these next few rounds, he can get himself up into contention later on in the series.
Yeah, if he keeps winning races and putting points on everyone else, then yeah, getting himself up the order and in that championship fight is definitely very much possible, especially if he keeps racking up race wins.
Exactly, and I have got confirmation from DJ from the stewards room that yes, Gabans is from Germany and he did move to Australia. So it is the homeboy here at the Nurburgring, and he's doing wonders, leading the way with over halfway to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's still Gabans, Highlander 215, putting in a great performance after taking a bit of a hiatus away from GT Sport, and he's just come back on firing on all cylinders. Any car he's given, a Porsche car, a Track Stars touring car, or even a Formula car, he's been showing his pace and back where he belongs, up towards the front.
Yeah, very, very strong performances, and he got called in as a late substitute on Sunday night when Xiaomi had to leave unexpectedly in the touring car races at Catalunya, and he jumped in for the last two races, and I think he picked up a couple of 7th place results, which was a very good drive considering he jumped into a car that he didn't really have a handle on the specs of and was called in with very little preparation.
Yeah, I did catch that when I was on my way back from Melbourne. I just did see EBM Xiaomi do the first race, but then had to pull out for race 2 and race 3. And the rescuer, Highlander 215, as I've been saying, he's been putting in some solid performances and even a main series call up there. So I see NZL Cowboy starts to go a little bit twitchy there, and he goes a little bit wide and onto the gravel. Did he get any contact from Chef Toddy there? Was that all by his lonesome? As we might see a replay of NZL Cowboy coming up towards that final corner. So I wonder he got a little bit of contact from Chef Toddy, and maybe he escorted him wide. No, he actually did it all by himself there.
Yeah, I was watching from the background. It looked like he just ran wide on his own and got a little bit out of shape through the gravel, and unfortunately Chef Toddy couldn't really do much to avoid that.
Very unlucky from NZL Cowboy, but he's got himself a Belgian right up behind him in Wex, Scully, and Devlin Calypso has dropped himself a little bit further away from his teammate, as we do see as well. SRF Han is down towards the bottom too, and she's going to be making her way up, hopefully towards the grid. And Warpath is down into 10th place, Jarman. So from second place on the grid, what's happened to Warpath within these last few laps?
I'm not sure. Maybe
did he get caught up?
Between races, he can let us know in the chat or something like that, or if he's following along. But yeah, I'm going to say maybe he got caught up somewhere, but didn't look like anyone got spun out or anything like that at that turn 1 incident.
Exactly. I would have thought like he may have got caught up in that turn 1 fiasco with Magical Wax, but I did see he didn't have a great start. He didn't have a great launch compared to Highlander and the rest of the guys, but I didn't think it would drop him back down at 10th. So for Warpath, from starting from 2nd down in 10th place, but looking to get that front row start again come race 2 in the reverse grid race. Not the exact position, not the positioning and not the race that he wanted to have after a great qualifying in 2nd place for Warpath 360.
Yeah, definitely not how he wants to get another front row start, but it might be the way to go about things. I'm actually surprised. Maybe he is just deliberately hanging back for that front row start.
Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a little spinner towards the final corner and SRF hands takes 10th place.
Would have expected that he would have moved ahead of Benjo here. And he's not really doing it with ease like you'd expect him to.
But Benjo's been showing a few good performances in the Porsche Cup. He was the championship leader just before the Catalunya Grand Prix last time out within the last fortnight. So Benjo's no slouch in the Porsche Cups, and he's definitely been improving his pace in the Porsche Cup, as we did see Wex Scully, who was close to NZL Cowboy, must have made a mistake there and has dropped himself further away from NZL Cowboy. But Highlander 215 is not letting Magical Wax having an easy time there, and he's actually maintaining the gap between himself and Magical Wax for 2nd place.
Yeah, looks like Magical Wax is starting to close in a bit now, so he might be looking to make a move for 2nd place on this last lap and pick himself up another point. And then maybe put a bit of a fight in this reverse grid race. Maybe another move through the field like he did on lap 1. Maybe with a little bit less contact though, and it might earn him pole for the final race.
Exactly. So I guess if these guys are teammates, second and third place, they've got to work together to catch up to Caban's, because nobody's stopping Caban's in the It's Racing Esports car. The 95 turned 55, leading the way in the elite class for the final time here at race 1 for the last lap on race 1 at Track Stars at the Nurburgring Grand Prix, where it is Caban's for It's Racing in first place, Highlander 215 in the Ice R Racing team in the second and third place, led by Magical Wax there. So a top 3 for the international esports racing team.
Yeah, of course. Even though they're teammates, I don't think Highlander will be very keen on pulling over and letting Magical Wax through, because you've got to remember that Highlander's the one that's second in the championship and only 4 points behind. So sure, he might be going, well, hang on, I've got as much chance of winning this title as you do, so you're going to have to race for it.
Yeah, that's definitely right there. And both these guys have missed at least 2 rounds, so they're going to have to commit for the full 15 rounds coming up towards the back end of the year. So if one of these guys misses an event, then whether you can say the championship is sealed between those guys, who knows? But time will tell. But it is still Magical Wax still not giving up. He's still got half the racetrack to go to make a move, but is looking very unlikely unless Highlander makes a big mistake coming towards up this final section of the track.
Yeah, would take a bit of a mistake there from Highlander in these last few corners, but who knows, maybe Magical Wax might find some speed.
Exactly. So as we did say, it is Caban's leading the way for the final time here at the Nurburgring in race 1. Like I said, the 95 turned 55, changing from that bright green to army green to army camouflage. It is Caban's in the 55 taking the final corner, and is going to take victory here in race 1 in the Track Stars Elite class. It is Caban's for the It's Racing Esports team to take out victory with Highlander 215 and Magical Wax in third place. A great performance by Highlander and Magical Wax. One a bit of a question mark over Magical Wax on that lap 1 incident, one to be looked at by the stewards, but James O'Bro from last as well got himself up into 4th place. So the Caviar team 4th and 5th place, they've got themselves a bit of work to do come towards lap 6, coming up towards race 2 and the elite class, with Devlin Calypso actually getting ahead of his teammate in 8th place, with Warpath 360 in 9th, Benjo GLR 10 in 10th place, with SRF and 9989 rounding up the final position in 11th place.
Yeah, it looks like Ann will be off pole for the second race, and Warpath obviously got ahead, so he'll be starting 3rd for the second race around, but definitely a good spot to start from for Warpath.
Exactly. So Warpath had a bit of a shocker, so hopefully he's learned that. But one guy that we will have to keep an eye on for race 2, it is Caban's winner of race 1 in the It's Racing Esports Porsche, taking victory in the first race in the elite class in the number 55, ahead of the Ice R group and the Caviar Racing team as well. So It's Racing Esports getting themselves one up on the Ice R and Caviar team.
Yeah, that's definitely right, and it's always good to see the Cartel Equipment Hire back Porsche getting across the line and taking the checkered flag first.
Exactly. I wonder if maybe you would have had maybe you drop yourself down to elite class and you can give Caban's a bit of a helping hand as well.
Oh, I did think about that, but of course I've been running in the pro class already, so it'd be a bit unfair to drop down and possibly take glory away.
Exactly. As we are getting confirmation from our steward Ryan DJSX Point is saying that it is he was happy with the Magical Wax incident there, and it was a bit of lag from Toddy that was flicking him towards Highlander. So whether he's happy, as a live steward, if he's happy with that, that's fine. But time will tell if an incident report is being filed towards Magical Wax and Chef Toddy. As we get ourselves ready for race 2, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for race 2, it is a reverse grid, so SRF Hand 9989 on pole position ahead of Benjo GLR 19. So the two Ice R group taking the front two rows, or the 1 and 2 in the race 2 reverse grid. So those guys will have to brace themselves for guys like Gabans, Highlander, Magical Wax, James O'Bro. But I want to ask you, gentlemen, like we've got our top 4 set, and we know the top 4 drivers are very fast drivers. Who are you going to be looking out for in race 2?
I definitely think Warpath will be the one to watch. I reckon he's got guys like Devlin, Scully and Cowboy just behind him, so, and then of course he's got Benjo and Hand to get around, of course, at the start, so I think he can get past those two, and maybe it might just be a little bit harder for guys like Magical Wax and Highlander and Gabans to get through a whole bunch of cars rather than just 2.
Well, we do have to think about that. Warpath didn't have the best of starts in the first race, so hopefully he can improve that. Maybe he might go out and practice his starts, and hopefully get a handle on that Porsche. So yeah, hopefully for him, he can learn from that and possibly get himself up towards the front, come turn 1, turn 2, in the Mercedes arena corner.
I'm just gonna go grab a quick drink and I'll be back soon to get this race kicked off.
No worries. Sounds good. I wonder if DJSX Pointer might join me in the commentary box whilst you're gone. But yeah, which is we want to have a feedback from you guys on the stream. I want to make sure that in the stream everything's okay, we can be heard clear, the cars can be heard compared to our voices, and if we're not too quiet. So always let us know in the chat about anything that might be a little bit upset, whether the stream could be lagging as well. So it's always good to know. Like from you guys, if there is something missing in the commentary, or if one of us is quiet, or if the stream is a little bit laggy. So do let us know, and we will take that feedback into consideration. So yeah, we get ourselves ready for race 2. So I think for myself, for one person I will be keeping an eye on will be James O'Bro. So he wasn't far behind Magical Wax and Highlander and Gabans in the end. There was only about 6 seconds away, and 6 seconds does sound like a lot in a Porsche. As we did see in the Pro class, that Porsches in the 6th place, it can be the gap between a 6-second gap between 1st and 4th is quite huge, but in the Pro class, but maybe in the Elite class, maybe not so much. As we see our live steward DJSX Pointer join the commentary box. So how's things looking on your end, Ryan?
There we go. Sorry, I was mucking around my headset. No, they're pretty clean this week, so hopefully it stays that way. But the reverse grid, anything can happen with this one, so it'll be one to watch out for at turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely one for you to keep an eye on as the steward. Just want to make sure, just keep an eye on that midfield, and hopefully no one punts each other into the likes of SRF and Benjo GLR 19.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you got Hannah who's going to start up the front. She's probably not comfortable with that, but that's the joys of reverse grid race, and everyone gets a chance to start up the front. But we wait and see, I guess.
No worries. We'll let you get back to your steward box as we get ourselves racing underway for race 2. It is reverse grid time here in the Elite class, where we have Gridline. Oh, actually, I was thinking, why is he changed cars there? Gridline Racing. He's gone to his Gridline Racing colours there, Benjo GLR 19. I was going to say ISAR Racing, but he's reverted to his Gridline Racing cars. I wonder if maybe the car that got him some good success in the first 2 rounds, it might give him a bit of confidence, Jarman.
Yeah, maybe something to think of, although I think it's a bit of a tribute livery because it was a year since he joined the team.
Oh, lights out, away we go, and I think SRF Hand is just doing the right thing and just wants to pull out of the way. It is Benjo GLR 19 leading the way, got himself a great start there, as we see a bit of a dive bomb move from Wex Cullo. So we did see that happening, Jarman, as we did call it on the reverse grid, that dive bomb moves were going to happen between Benjo and the back of the grid, as we see Wex Scully promote himself up into second place, but one that's going to be looked at by Ryan, our live steward. But one guy I did mention, Jarman, James O'Bro, has got himself out. As we see a car gone wide, that is Chef Toddy, and Highlander 215 as well has gone a little bit wide, and he's got himself off the racetrack and out of the race as well, as Highlander looks like he's got to get a bit of contact there. And Magical Wax once again on the back of Chef Toddy. So Chef Toddy and Magical Wax are not having a great time at all.
No, that didn't really look clean there from Magical Wax. I hate to call people out, but yeah, there was probably a little bit of care needed with that one, and maybe disappointed we'll be having a look at that one. But looks like James O'Bro's jumped into the lead here. I wonder if we can get a replay of that one. No, it looks like he's already made the move on Benjo before we could get to a replay.
So I did call it just before the start of race 2. I did want to keep my eyes on James O'Bro, and James O'Bro is doing wonders for the Caviar Racing Team. When one car is spinning around and towards the back end of the grid, there is one car up the front, and it is James O'Bro 5 from New Zealand, leading the way ahead of the race 2 in the Porsche Cup Elite class, where we see Benjo GLR 19 in a tribute gridline racing Porsche in second place. So he's holding his ground in second place and putting in a solid performance come towards the end of lap 1, with Wex Scully with a bit of a lunge move there from Wex Scully in third place, with Magical Wax in fourth. Gabans has promoted himself up into fifth, but I do want to look back towards down towards Highlander 215, because he got caught up in all of it, and he was probably looking towards a great performance here, but his performance at the start of race 2, I did see get a little bit tail happy there. He's nowhere. I can't see him on the map at all.
Yeah, Highlander, he's down in 11th at the moment.
Oh, that is a big shame.
So he's just behind Chef Toddy.
Yeah, that is a very big shame. Chef Toddy and Highlander 215 getting caught up on incidents. Definitely not their faults. I don't know if Highlander got caught up in an incident or he got taken out. We don't know yet, but what we do know is James O'Bro is leading the way with Benjo GLR 19 and Wex Scully in third, Magical Wax in fourth place there, and with Gabans in fifth. He's going to be looking at the back end of Gabans of Magical Wax and thinking, I'm coming for you, and I'm coming for Wex, and I am coming for Benjo GLR 19, as Magical Wax makes a move. Oh, Wex Scully. Scully lives in the room, but he's going to get the cutback. No, he doesn't. So Magical Wax into third place. Is he going to make a move on his team boss? So two moves within the space of 2 corners. Is it going to be done for Magical Wax? It is. So great sequence of corners for Magical Wax Charm, making those solid moves.
Yeah, very, very good performance there, and he's driving like a man possessed at the moment. With a good dive down the inside of Scully there, and then a good run out the corner, and just got up the inside of Benjo as well to take second place. So he's looking to put as many points as possible on Gabans, and maybe even try and get pole position for this one. But Gabans is certainly basically doing, well, anything you can do, I can match as well.
Exactly, and is he going to get himself up towards Benjo? He has done so. What, like you called it, Jarman. So anything that Magical Wax do, Gabans can do. As we see Wex Scully go for a bit of a spin out there, so he's still pirouetting around there. So a little bit unfortunate for Wex Scully. As we see a quick replay, I don't think he got any contact there. He must have just done it all on his own. Little bit too hot, and yeah, just a little bit too much acceleration into that corner, and yep, round she goes. So unfortunately for Wex Scully, dropping himself down into 9th place, but like you called it, anything that Magical Wax can do, Gabans can do as well. But it looks like he should drop behind Benjo there, so Benjo not giving up on that 3rd place, and we are halfway into the race. So I don't think, yeah, it looks like Gabans has just made that move on Benjo. So Gabans up into 3rd place and Magical Wax in 2nd, but no one's looking ahead. No one's looking to make a move on James O'Bro, who is leading the way for the Caviar Racing Team. So James O'Bro up the front in the 912 car entry in 1st place, with Magical Wax in 2nd, Gabans in 3rd, Benjo GLR 19 from 2nd place on the grid in the reverse grid, having a great performance in 4th place, with NZL Cowboy in 5th place, Devlin Calypso in 6th, and Warpath, what you called we were going to be looking out for, Jarman, is not having the best of results or the best of times here at the Nurburgring after that stellar performance in qualifying.
Yeah, I think he got caught up in the bit of chaos at turn 1 there, and it's just affected him a little bit, and dropped him down the orders. There's a yellow flag out at the moment. That's NZL Cowboy who's spun off.
NZL Cowboy. Oh, so NZL Cowboy looks like he was going to have a great time in 5th place as we see a replay. Did he make contact with Benjo GLR19? We'll have to wait and see. He has done, and he's taken himself out. So Benjo GLR19's got a bit of a punt there. I wonder if Benjo got himself a little bit onto that gravel trap. It doesn't look like he did, so he's kept it clean. But wow, that was a close call for Benjo.
Yeah, he just managed to escape that one and still comes out of it in 4th place. There's a few seconds back to Warpath, so I think Benjo will hopefully be aiming for a top 5 in this race, which will be a very well-earned result.
Yeah, I think the Gridline Racing Porsche is giving him a bit of confidence there, Jarman. So he's possibly putting great performances in his Gridline Racing Porsche in the first 2 rounds before he moved independently to make his own group with the Intercontinental Racing Group or Esports Racing Group in Ice R Racings, and putting on great performance and starting drivers like Magical Wax and Gabans, who was in theory a ISR racing driver in the Porsches, but is now transferred into the It's Racing Esports Porsche. So, and they've got themselves drivers such as SRF Han, Highlander 215, and they are an expanding group, and they are looking to make a claim for the main series next year.
Yeah, there's a fair few drivers. I think Colin T24, I think it is. He's a ISR racer, so he's been on loan to Robbo Sport Racing for the remainder of the touring car series, so that could be one driver to look out for. That maybe they'll push their case to get a main series berth with Colin in behind the wheel, and of course guys like Brocker Lilly as well and Highlander, all very capable of performing in the main series too.
I was gonna say, like, if you had to choose 2 drivers to put in the main series for the ISR racing team, who would you pick? I would definitely have to pick somebody like Brocker Lilly, who's been showing some great performances in the TS2 category, but he's just got himself stuck in that pre-qualifying. He's just finding it a little bit hard to get it out of.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes, especially when you've got guys like Mint Matt, Jono Stan, Viper Z, Rid One.
Exactly.
All jumping in and trying to race, and it leaves only about 5 people to get into the main series. Well, the split one of TS2.
Yeah, exactly right. So, Broccoli, but he has been showing some great performances, and he has been fighting, as we did see at the Catalonian Grand Prix in the TS2. He was putting up a good fight with the likes of Mint Matt and a few of the other boys until he had an unfortunate disconnect there. I don't know if it was formulas or the touring cars, but he was putting on a great performance before his disconnect there.
Yeah, I think it might have been the formulas that he was doing a lot better, but he's certainly quick in the touring car as well, but I think the formula is where he really shines.
Oh, absolutely. If you have to look back at his performance, we have to look back at the Austrian Grand Prix where Kim, Cylon 96 in the Mashbards Racing entry, and JMX, and even guys like Gabans when he was in the Formula 2 series, they put on a class showing between those 4 drivers, and they had a great time. But unfortunately for Brocker Lilly, he got caught up with a bad strategy call, and unfortunately for him, he had to drop himself down into 9th place at the end of that. So he has some good points and some bad points, but I guess for a driver like Brocker Lilly, it's just one season, and hopefully in the next season he might get himself in the main series.
Yeah, it looks like Magical Wax here. We'll just turn our attention back to the race. I think he's taken a second out of James O'Bro, so maybe not quite enough to take the win in this race, but of course if he keeps reducing the time gap, it may just put James O'Bro under a little bit of pressure, and who knows, maybe a small mistake might creep in and open the door.
Exactly, he's got himself a cheerleader in Ollie Cross, who's actually cheering on James O'Bro as Magical Wax sets a purple lap there. So he's got himself into the 54s there, or 55s there. So he's getting himself a good pace, Magical Wax, and Gabans as well. As Benjo's under a pressure from Warpath. Is Benjo going to go defensive on Warpath? He does, but if Warpath just sneaks in and finds a gap on the inside and makes that move. So wonderful move there by Warpath, but Benjo's not going to give up. and he's going to possibly go around the outside. He doesn't, so he just runs a little bit too wide there, Benjo. And that was a nice move there from Warpath to get it right up, to sneak up right on the inside, and Benjo didn't cover enough there.
Yeah, probably a little bit of contact there, but on the middle of turn 1, but nothing that really impacted everyone too much, as we've got a bit of a battle on here as Highlander and Chef Toddy have made their way through the field a bit, and they're coming across the back of NZL Cowboy. So Highlander looking to gain an extra point here and set himself up maybe for a bit better of a position for the final.
As Cowboy gets a bit defensive there on Highlander, Highlander was thinking of a move and he thought, nah, I'm not going to give you that spot easy enough. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on towards the back end of the race as we look up towards the front. I want to see if that gap between James O and Magical Wax has closed. It has done, but it's not enough. So it looks like it's going to be a debut. It's going to be a race victory for the Caviar Racing team in James O Bro 5, the New Zealander for Caviar Racing in the 912 Porsche.
Yeah, very clean drive here from James O'Bro. He kept it clean all race, put in some solid pace, and he's being rewarded here with a race win in the Track Stars Porsche Cup.
So for Caviar Racing Team, it is James O'Bro 5 taking the victory ahead of Magical Wax, our championship leader, with Gabans in third place. So it's going to be a spicy front row between Magical and Gabans there. So, and James O'Bro wouldn't be far behind in third place. As we see Warpath having a solid outing there in fourth place there. So Benjo GLR 19 just burning off a penalty there in fifth place, with Devlin Calypso in sixth, with Scully having a little bit of an incident there towards in the middle half of that race, with NZL Cowboy holding off Highlander 215 and Chef Toddy getting caught up on a first lap incident between Magical Wax there and even Highlander as well. He managed to get on the YouTube chat and he said he confirmed that he did get taken out as well. So we look towards the victory page.
Highlander.
Yeah, so we look towards the victory page. It is James O'Bro, so it is 1-1. One for the Aussies, one for the Kiwi. Who's going to get the bragging rights tonight in the elite class of Race 3 and the Track Stars Racing Series? It is James O'Bro taking out the victory for the Caviar Racing Team, and Ollie Cross is definitely cheering on his man and the Caviar Racing Team. So definitely going to set up James O'Bro for possibly a third or fourth place in that overall point standing. So hopefully you'll count that tally up for us, Jarman, and we'll see where he's placed.
Yeah, I'll get to work on that as soon as I just make some changes to the lobby settings.
All good.
And then that'll give everyone a chance to tick in while I work these points out. And I'll head back to race results, because that'll look a lot better for me to tally up on the screen.
Exactly. So we did say James O'Bro takes out victory ahead of Magical Wax 763 in the Ice R Racing Porsche, sponsored by Black Dog Institute, in second place, with Gabans in third place. So it's going to definitely be a pole position for Gabans there, and Magical Wax won't be far behind, with Warpath in fourth. So I want to see how far he's going to move up in race 3, with Benjo GLR 19 having a nice tribute race in his Gridline Racing Porsche in fifth place, with Devlin in sixth, with NZL Cowboy in seventh, Highlander 215 after being hit in eighth place, and Chef Toddy. What could have been for Chef Toddy if he got close to if he could have got closer to James O'Bro, getting taken out in those first few corners in ninth place, with Wex Scully having a bit of a spin in 10th place, and SRF Hand doing, I guess in a way, the gentleman's way, or even for her as a lady, the lady's way of just moving out of the way. I mean, we want to see people in the reverse grid, have a fun and move up towards the front. But I don't know. Probably I would have just given SRF Hand a bit of a chance and maybe even take that lead within the first corner.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that one.
No, I was just saying, just SRF Hand. When she just pulled off on the side to let everyone by, I would have just said, just have a go. Even if you do come out in the midfield, or second to last place, or last place at the end of the first lap, that's okay. At least you got through the first corner within the top 3.
Yeah, of course. Maybe she was a bit worried about possibly braking earlier than everyone expects and being taken out, but of course we've got to remember that it's up to the other guys to make sure that they get through turn 1 cleanly without running into the back of someone who might be braking earlier.
Exactly, and as we do, and we have our Vice Steward back in the stream. How did you view that lap 1 incident, Ryan?
It was very, very, very scrappy. There was a lot of late dives down there, but it'll definitely be one that I'll need to review for that one, because that was a lot of hassles going on there, and it did carry around to turn 3 and 4, as you saw from Chef Toddy and Highlander getting caught up in all that. So it be definitely one for me to review.
Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, for Chef Toddy being the innocent victim, just getting caught up there. I'm not so sure if it was, I believe it was by Magical Wax there, so I'm not so sure what happened previously beforehand in that corner between those two, but something wasn't right between those guys, and we do see in the chat as well. Yeah, so unfortunately for Chef Toddy and Magical Wax, we will have to keep it. We will have to keep that tight-lipped, and for the stewards to review and whether a penalty is deserved or whether it's just deemed a racing incident.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I saw it as them trying to push 2 and 3 wide. But I guess that's the old thing: if you don't leave someone else room, someone's going to pay for it. But yeah, I guess that's why these guys are in elite class, because they're still getting all their racecraft done properly. Nothing against them; they're all still quick. But it's just those little tiny things that can cause a lot of issues.
And something like the Porsche Cup, where it is an even spec, 100% power, 100% weight ratio, and with no tuning, and basically it's just a car that is not a BOP. No, that's not like a GT Sport BOP. So if people were doing FIA races or daily races with the Porsches, it's not the same. The Track Stars specs are a little bit different, and they're a little bit heavier. They are a little bit more understeery. But if you have guys like Viper Set and Diswood leading the front in the Pro class, they do know how to drive that car, and they do know what racing room is all about.
Yeah, well, obviously it's as close to a one-make series as you can, but obviously the same as in the supercars with the Carrera Cup, as they all have a one-make, so it's all even, and it just comes down to driver etiquette, finesse, and precision, I guess. But it's a way for these guys and girls and everyone to realise on how to make themselves cleaner, but see how if they can get up the ranks.
Exactly. We'll let you go back into the steward box. Ryan, thank you very much for joining as we get ourselves underway for race 3 here at Track Stars, the final race in the elite class. So thank you for tuning in, guys. 10:15 in the evening here in Australia with myself and Spud P666 and Jarmandale's calling all the action here at the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel, with Cabans leading the way on pole position with Magical Wax and James O'Bro right behind. Can Highlander make any moves towards the end of turn 1 as we see the lights go out and it's green flag racing? Can Cabans going to pull across? He has done so. Another perfect start for Cabans there on pole position. There, is going to cut himself across and take the lead ahead of the race 3. Ahead of race 3 coming up very shortly. A 10 lapper for these guys. A little bit longer for these guys to race, but it is Cabans leading the way ahead of Magical Wax and James O'Bro slotting into 3rd place.
Yeah, good start.
Looks like it's a little bit. Looks like it's a little bit cleaner in this race. I don't see many incidents happening there, so it is a much cleaner start for these guys. We see right back there James O'Bro and Highlander 215 getting into a bit of a kerfuffle there and jostling out for position in 3rd place, but it's all settled down there with James O'Bro in 3rd as he runs a little bit too deep, a little bit too wide. That's going to open the door for Highlander. It has done. The Highlander is going to make that move stick on James O'Bro. But looks like James O'Bro just got a little bit more power on the exit. Just runs a little bit wide, but got a little bit, maybe a bit more power on the throttle there. But Highlander's got the priority. He's got the priority line and the inside line, and he takes 3rd position ahead of James O'Bro.
Yeah, good move there from Highlander. Moves himself up into 3rd. He's going to have a bit of a fight back on his hands. And James O'Bro's definitely coming back towards him as well.
Exactly. These guys don't really need to fight too much, but they have to push towards the front, and they have to push towards Cabans in the It's Racing Esports entry, who's just charging away. Magical Wax doesn't really have a response so far. As we look down, we see Warpath dropping himself down to 8th place. So what looked like it was going to be a good start in 6th place there is down into 8th place. So Warpath still not getting the starts right, and his first laps is not really as strong as it should be. So I guess one to learn, one for the history books, and probably one to learn is Wex Scully makes a move on his teammate. And yeah, and I guess as well, Chef Toddy's been caught up on another incident there. So he's just going off in the Discord, in the PlayStation chat, and a bit unfortunate there. So as we might see towards a replay on Chef Toddy, not too sure. No, I don't think so. So unfortunately for Chef Toddy, I believe he's had enough. He just hasn't had luck on his side tonight. But hopefully we might be able to see him very soon in the next series. So unfortunate for Chef Toddy to leave us. He's a great bloke, and yeah, for him to be upset, it is very unlucky for him to be in that situation.
Yeah, it's definitely something you don't like to see happen, and when you get involved in incidents and end up going off track and getting pushed down the order, then it's definitely not an enjoyable night of racing, and something that we want to aim to do at Track Stars is to make sure that everyone does get to enjoy themselves, and clean racing is certainly the best way to do it. So even though he's upset, we'll have to go through the proper processes and maybe review things and see whether anyone was at fault or whether it was just a racing incident.
As we see Highlander making a move on Magical Wax, and Magical Wax has just made a bit of a mistake there, and they're not catching Gabans there. They're hustling, they're fighting for position. He's gone a little bit wide there, and he's made his spear winning, and Gabans as well, Jarman. He's gone off as well, so Concertina effects for Gabans and Magic, and for Highlander as we see a replay. Gabans there was the second person to make a mistake before Highlander, and he's just gone wide. No, Gabans, you didn't need to do that. You had such a great gap. That's so unlucky.
That is the worst luck ever for him, and hopefully no one hears it coming through the microphone, but it is getting very gusty where I am at the moment, and a lot of rain coming down, so...
Highlander just got maybe just up a tiny bit wide on the left-hander, on the left-hand side, and that just got clipped the grass, and yep, just spun him round, and Gabans and Highlander down in 8th and 9th place. So, oh man, that is so unfortunate. I was so looking forward to calling the action between Gabans and Highlander for 1st and 2nd, but we might have to call them for 8th and 9th place, unfortunately, as we see Magical Wax has inherited the lead from Gaban's mistake there, and that was all by himself, Jarman. So a little bit too much pressure on himself, and he just went a little bit too wide, unfortunately.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic error there from Gabans, but also I've got to point out maybe Ollie Cross's prediction of a podium, well, definitely looking true at this point of the race, but maybe he might be exceeding Ollie's expectations and could be on for a win possibly.
Ooh, so I wonder if the gap between Magical Wax and James O'Bro is quite close. So do you think if James O'Bro makes a move on Magical Wax, could he be in line for the win?
Well, yeah, he could. Well, he could be on for a win in this race at least, but I think I'm just going to look at the points. Well, James O'Bro and Magical are tied on points, so whoever comes out in front will win this round.
Oh, so Ollie Cross, hopefully you're gonna. I did read on your chat there, Ollie, that you were gonna give him a can of Red Bull. The Red Bulls were on you, so hopefully you got him gonna stock up on the Red Bulls, because James O'Bro is gonna need that for the next 6 laps coming up in the Elite Class Race 3, as Magical Wax leads the way and James O'Bro in 2nd place, which all of this has promoted NZL Cowboy into 3rd place. As we see a very unlucky Gabans there in 2nd place. What could have been for Gabans for a potential win, and even a potential round win? So I wonder what his gap was between the top position, because he was on the pole position on that race. So I wonder how many positions he needs to gain to consolidate first for the round.
He was only 1 point in front, so basically out of those 3, whoever won was going to win the round. So I don't think the round win's looking likely for Gabans at the moment, but of course there's still 7 laps to go, so anything is possible.
Oh, jeez, that is so. This is what we love to see in the elite class. How close it is. It is very close in the championship between the top four. 14 points separates the top four, and 4 points separates Magical Wax and Highlander. So it's as close as you can get, Jarman. And for Gabans and Highlander, one costly mistake is going to help the others improve their positions. Guys such as James O'Bro, who could possibly be making a move up towards the front of the grid.
Yeah, this is definitely something that Gabans didn't want, because, I mean, a race win would have been some very handy points in that chase down of the front five in the championship, who've got some extra rounds on him, so I'm sure he would have preferred to take as close to maximum points as possible, but it's not looking likely now. And should also point out the fact that James O'Bro is actually sitting 5th in the championship at the moment, so by no means is he out of this title fight.
No, exactly. So anything can happen in the race, and as we've seen from Gabans and Highlander 2-on-5 both making mistakes, and Highlander just getting a little bit pushed there, as we see Wex Scully pick up a half-second penalty there, so he's burning his penalty off. So that's one position extra for Gabans there. He says thank you very much, and Highlander looks to think about making a move very soon on Wex Scully. As Gabans puts himself back up into 5th place. As we look towards the front, it is Magical Wax just ahead of James O'Bro. So Ollie Cross, I hope you've got the champagne ready if James O'Bro wins the race, because James O'Bro's right on the heels of Magical Wax, and he's only got about 5.5 laps to go to get that first position.
Yeah, it's a very close one between it. It's something we're going to have to follow along for the rest of this race. But of course we can't ignore the battles further back in the pack as well, so we might just have to jump between the two and keep an eye on everything.
Exactly, and so you see even the gap between NZL Cowboy and Gabans is really fast stretched, so I wonder if Gabans is going to be closing that gap within the next 5.5 laps. It's about 6 seconds to gap, but we do know, Jarman, that he can do it. Anything that is big or small in the gap size, he can close it and he can push.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that Gabans is probably a fair bit quicker than NZL Cowboy, so I mean, over the course of 5.5 laps, it's very much possible, but of course NZL Cowboy is doing a good job at the moment, so I won't put the curse on him, but I'm sure he's very much capable of holding off.
Yeah, I did see that gap was 6 seconds before he approached turn 11 and turn 12 sequence. It has now dropped down to 5 seconds. So within the span, if I had to do that Amazon tracker that they do on the Formula One, I think his prediction time of overtaking NZL Cowboy is going to be about maybe 2 laps, I'd say.
Yeah, so within striking distance in 2 laps or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, if we could have that little graphic on, that'd be awesome. But yeah, but Gabans is definitely the faster driver. We see as we do cut off there, as we see Magical Wax thinking of a move on James O'Bro, but it looks like Magical Wax has just held off James O'Bro, and James O'Bro doesn't need to fight too much. As we catch a quick replay, does James O'Bro go deep into the first corner? He does, but does he pull it up? He has, but he hasn't pulled it up. So he was temporary in the lead, but he just went a bit too deep there, James O'Bro. So not what you need. That's going to give. That's not going to give much confidence for James O'Bro for the next few corners.
No, but these are still very much close, and I think there was a bit of contact there between the two coming through that corner. So this race is very much on, and James O'Bro is definitely keen to make a push for the win here.
Oh, as Magical Wax go defensive there on the Dunlop curve, so he's done himself a great job to be defensive for James O'Bro. So this is, like you said, John, this is a battle that we want to keep an eye on, but we want to definitely see what's going on in the background as well, as we see Highlander make a move on Warpath, as I call in the background there. So the same James O'Bro go around the outside, he's too far back. So 4 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Put your predictions in right now. Who's going to win the round? Will it be Magical Wax 763, our championship leader in the Ice R Racing Team, sponsored by Black Dog Institute? Is he going to take victory, or will it be James O'Bro in the Caviar Racing Team in the 912 Porsche? So he looks to make a move on the outside. Does he feint to the inside? He doesn't. So he's just bearing his time, and he's probably going to set himself up for a good exit. He's got himself a great exit here. Is he going to make a move towards turn 16? He does think about it, but he's just not far up enough, and he's just going to probably set himself up towards turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like he's got himself close behind James O'Bro going down the main straight. Sorry, I mean Magical Wax, but it's definitely within the slipstream. Maybe just dial back the braking this time around. Let's see, it looks a bit better this time around. I think he's got it done.
He's done it. So James O'Bro's made that move. As Magical Wax think about making a counter-attack on the inside of turn 2, he hasn't, but he's going to stick right behind James O'Bro. Will he make a move into turn 3? He doesn't. So it is leading the way. James O'Bro for the Caviar Racing Team, leading the way for the first time in race 3 for the Caviar Racing Team. James O'Bro 5 leading the way with 4.5 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, with Magical Wax in second, the championship. And he's picked up a half second as well there, gentlemen. I did catch that for the last second. Magical Wax got himself a half-second penalty there, and I believe that this is going to be Magical Wax's ending here for overall victory. Half-second feels like at least 2 seconds coming up towards the Michael Schumacher S section.
Yeah, definitely could be 2 to 3 second penalty here for him. So that's going to make life hard and very much a big challenge for Magical Wax to come back from. That's for sure.
He burned his penalty off in this section. He doesn't burn the penalty off.
Oh
so,
no!
So unfortunately, if he burns it off here, we might give him a little bit of leeway, we might say to him, well, you know, you get away with that. But I wonder if Ryan's in the chat, in the party chat, and just telling him, burn your penalty, Magical Wax. I remember I was doing that in the Catalunya Grand Prix, just telling the drivers to make sure they burn their penalties in the correct spot. But I wonder if he's actually burned his penalties. So as we'll look back if Gabans makes a move. So we did say striking distance 2 laps, and it is about coming towards the end of lap 2 of that. So unfortunately the tracker didn't work, but it looks like he's just going to get him towards the back on the start-finish straight and into turn 1, Gabans. But if we can have a look, just a quick look at Magical Wax. Has he burned his penalty off there? Magical Wax, I'm not too sure. He has done, so he has burned his penalty off. So I'm not so sure whether he must have burned it off on the pit straight there. So I don't know, one for the stewards to maybe keep an eye on and think whether he needs to be given a leeway or just maybe a firm warning.
Yeah, that might be one to discuss post-race amongst the stewards and the team that are reviewing it all. But let's have a quick look back between this battle for 3rd place here.
Oh, Gabans has got himself a switchback move. He's got himself a slingshot effect on NZL Cowboys. He looks to make a move on NZL Cowboy coming on towards the inside. He does make a move, but is NZL Cowboy going to hold the outside? He does do, but he's just not strong enough on the inside, and Gabans rounds him up and takes 3rd place. So the Amazon tracker didn't work for us, ladies and gentlemen. So he got him within 2.5 laps there. So Gabans has got himself up into 3rd place, back into 3rd place, but definitely could have been a win for Gabans.
Yeah, he's certainly proved that. He's got the fastest lap at the moment, and he very much was on pace to take the win. And even looking at the gap between himself and James O'Bro, I think it was about 15 seconds at one point, and it's now down to 12. So definitely a case of what if for Gabans in this race.
Exactly. And he was only 1 point ahead of, like you said, he was 1 point ahead of James O'Bro and Magical Wax. So, and Highlander 215 wouldn't have been that far off as well. But unfortunately, that race 2 incident definitely hurt him for sure. So, what could have been for Magical Wax? What could have been for Highlander 215 in race 2 and race 3? You know, we will never know. So, unfortunate for Highlander 215 to be down as far as 5th place. Looking to make a move on NZL Cowboy is Highlander 215 for the RSI race team. Is he going to make a move down into turn 1, or is he going to hold back like Gabans did and make a move towards that turn 4, turn 5 sequence? As Highlander sticks right behind NZL Cowboy, he's looking to set up a move coming towards the end of turn 2, turn 3, and maybe sticking the nose in coming towards turn 4 on the outside. It doesn't look like he's close enough, no. So he's just going to tuck in a little bit, just maybe get a bit of a slingshot effect, make that car point a little bit straighter coming up towards this section, heading up towards the Dunlop curve, towards the back end of the track.
Yeah, he's certainly keeping it clean there, and where some drivers may just go for the desperation dive bomb into turn 1, he's played it a bit more cautious, maybe sized up where NZL Cowboy breaks and all that sort of thing, and learns how he drives and makes sure it's a bit of a cleaner move.
NZL Cowboy just runs a little bit wide there, He was anticipating Highlander to make a move, but Highlander's just going to pull back into the slipstream now, coming up towards the Michael Schumacher S, and tuck in right behind NZL Cowboys here. But they've only got 1.5 laps to go, so Highlander needs to make a move if he wants that 4th place. He does make a move towards turn 11. Is he going to make that stick? He does, but NZL Cowboys not giving up. As we see Wex Scully unfortunately drop out of the lobby there, as they're still side by side coming up towards the back end of the straight, and they're not giving up on each other. But it looks like Highlander's got the advantage here with the inside line coming up towards the chicane in turns 14 and 15.
Yeah, good move there from Highlander, held him out. Very clean racing between the two drivers as well. A lot of respect for each other, to give each other room, not force one another off into the gravel. A bit like we saw at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Exactly,
that was some controversial penalties, but still it's good to see that there's enough respect that they don't just slam each other off the road.
Exactly right. And as we get out towards our final lap, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you've got your champagne bottles ready there, Ollie Cross, because we're about to call James O'Bro for the Caviar Racing Team, taking possible line honours. If he doesn't make a mistake on this line on this last lap, I mean, there could be a commentator's curse, but I don't want to talk about that. So I've had enough commentator's curse over my past commentary experiences, so I don't want to call that. But what is certain, it is James O'Bro leading the way ahead of Magical Wax, and Magical Wax had that half-second penalty. If it wasn't for that, we would have been calling a grandstand finish.
Yeah, it was a very, very good race shaping up between obviously Highlander, Magical Wax, Cabans, and of course James O'Bro was in amongst that group as well. So it could have been a very good battle between the 4 of them. But yeah, up in front, obviously James O'Bro, and obviously they've got the caviar and maybe the champagne to go with it at the end of this lap.
I wonder if Chef Toddy is going to be looking back on this and thinking what wasn't good for me, for my performance, and getting hit by a few others. But I guess on the upside, he can look towards James O'Bro and think what a great performance he's been putting on in the Caviar Racing Team as we round ourselves towards the final few corners. It is James O'Bro for the Caviar Racing Team in the number 9112 in the Porsche 911 RSR Group 3 entry. It is James O'Bro rounding up the final corner. It is line honours and overall victory for James O'Bro for the Caviar Racing Team, taking the victory here in the Track Stars Racing Series Elite Class Porsche Cup Super Cup for round 7 at Track Stars, with Cabans down in 3rd place. Well, what could have been for Cabans a potential victory and a round victory for Cabans has to consolidate for 3rd place, with Highlander 4th place, with NZL Cowboy in 5th, with Warpath 360 in 6th place, with Benjo GLR 19 in 7th, and Devlin in 8th. We see a bit of a battle going on here between Benjo and Devlin, so this is definitely not over between those two guys. Who looks to make a move there? None. So Benjo GLR 19 is going to take out 7th place, with Devlin in 8th, and SRF Han 9989 rounding up the top 9. So 2 dropouts, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunate, some disconnects, some rage quits, but that's okay. Yeah, we still have ourselves a top 3 that is led by James O'Bro, Magical Wax, and Cabans in the It's Racing Esports. So 3 teams in the top 3, Jarman. So it just shows how close this pack is in elite class.
Yeah, there's a lot of a lot of strong drivers throughout this series, and all spread across different teams. So it makes for some good racing and a bit of variety as well.
As we see James O'Bro in his Ferrari overalls, he drove like a Ferrari today, just pulling that Porsche 911 towards the front, and he choked out a commanding victory. Very unfortunate for Magical Wax to get a penalty there at the end of lap 6, lap 7. So fortunate for him, we could have called a grandstand finish, and what could have been Jarman for Cabans and Highlander 215 had they not made those mistakes at the end of lap 2.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of what is for those guys, and I'm sure Cabans will be probably a little bit upset with himself over that one. But of course there's plenty of races, and he did do a great job in race 1, and of course he came through the field well in race 2 as well.
Absolutely. So, as we run down the grid, it is James O'Bro for Caviar Racing Team in the 912 in first place, with Magical Wax in the 114 in 12th in second place, and Gabans in the It's Racing 55, gone from 95 to 55 for Gabans in third place, with Highlander 215 in fourth, NCLL Cowboy in fifth place for the MNR Racing Team, Warpath 360 for the WRT Motorsport Team in sixth place, with Benjo GLR 19 Ice R Racing Group / Gridline Racing, so bringing out his Gridline Racing retro colours in seventh place. Devlin Calypso for Speed Demon in eighth place, with SRF Han in the other Ice R Racing Group car entry in the 57 in ninth place, with two dropouts in Wex Scully for Speed Demon and Chef Toddy down in 11th place. As we start to wrap up our evening, ladies and gentlemen, we do thank you so much for tuning in for both Pro Class and Elite Class here at the Track Stars Racing Series. We did have a few mishaps in the Pro Class in Race 2, unfortunately. Myself and Spud, unfortunately not being able to compete after that, after those many disconnects and non-starts. So unfortunately for me, I just decided to just bow out, retire the car, and just join you guys in the commentary box. So thank you very much for tuning in for the Track Stars Porsche Cup Round 7 here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix. We do have our Formula Series coming up this weekend, Jarman. So the Formula 2 and Formula Track Stars here. So this is going to be an exciting round for the Formula boys.
Yeah, it's a track that I didn't get to race at last year, so I'll be looking forward to taking on the Nurburgring GP Circuit this time around, and hopefully see what kind of result I can put in. But I'm sure there'll be some great racing between everyone throughout the field in the main series, and of course the Track Stars Formula 2 series as well.
Yeah, it definitely showed some great racing last year when it was Robbo Sport Racing Farrell PS that had the lead, and myself in the Mash Buds Racing entry just coming out for a fight back victory to close the gap to Farrell PS, and with 2 laps to go made a move on to turn 1 and made that move stick and took the lead with 2 laps to go after making a bit of a mistake there in the pit stop strategy. So it was a very good race, and it's an awesome track in a Formula car. If you haven't experienced the Nurburgring Grand Prix in a Super Formula, you have to give it a go. It is so much fun to drive, and definitely going to be an awesome event for us on Sunday as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one.
So as we start to wrap up our streaming, we do thank you very much, as I said, for tuning in and staying for these long hours. As we said, we had a few complications, but we got there in the end, Jarman. So on behalf of myself and Spud P666 and Jarman Dowd's It's Racing, we thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream. Join us on Sunday for the Formula 2s and the Formula Track Stars here at Track Stars Racing Series. So if you haven't already, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and watch our Formula Track Star boys tackle the Nurburgring Grand Prix. But on behalf of us and the Porsche Cup Series boys in